Means if you show up at 11, you're late. I know that because so many times we've done it. So in a few moments, Kyle Whittingham will be taking to the podium and giving you his comments about not only the demolition of the Colorado Buffaloes at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday night, but about the upcoming matchup with the Cincinnati Bearcats, ranked versus ranked. Utah back in the top 25. Cincinnati continues to climb. They lost their first game of the season. They've rattled off win after win after win after win since. They have put themselves very firmly in the Big 12 championship conversation, and Utah has another opportunity on national television, big stage. College Game Day has decided that Salt Lake City is the spot this week. Also, the WWE, in conjunction with the Big 12, Friday night SmackDown, all of it's converging on this game. It is huge. There are going to be dignitaries from the WWE. I think Brett Yormark will probably be at this game. College Game Day, as we already said, is coming. We got to figure out who the celebrity picker is going to be. 877-353-0700.
Why not you, OC?
I'm told Post Malone is not available. Very seriously. Post Malone is like the Utah celebrity now. He's not. He's on tour. He's in Denver that week or something. Can't have Post. So who's it going to be? I think I have the correct answer. It's not me, unfortunately. Although it would be amazing if College Game Day just decided we're going to have completely obscure nobodies be the celebrity guest picker at a couple of stops.
I mean, you now work for ESPN in some capacity. Maybe they're like, hey, why don't we have one of our own who's a Ute
just
be on the show?
You can't have it just be like a totally random, like just fan. It has to be embarrassing for the person who gets picked as the celebrity picker. They have to be like a Z-level celebrity. Like you were on a reality show one time 9 years ago. Or like it's got to be someone really obscure. We'll flesh that out. Kyle Whittingham taken to the podium now for the press conference.
Okay, good response by our guys this week. Really played well. All three phases. Offense, defense, special teams were all clicking. Thought our freshman quarterback, Bird Ficklin, played exceptionally well for his first outing. And really, was a big positive for us. Just all positives. Really nothing negative coming out of that game. Defense, 7 sacks, less than 150 yards of total low. And it was a very aggressive game plan by Coach Scally. I think we were about 70% pressure, and so it was very effective. Ran the football exceptionally well. In addition, offensively, and that's when we're at our best, is when we're running the ball. We had to the tune of 420 yards rushing, and so that was another big plus in the game. And so really, that kind of sums it up. I mean, it was very positive all across the board. Cincinnati coming in here, red hot team. Had the tough loss in the opener, right down to the wire with Nebraska, and have since rattled off 7 wins in a row. And so they're playing exceptionally good football. Quarterback's a big, strong kid, dual threat, can run, can throw. They're 11 personnel team, 75% of the time, mixed in with some 12, and that 3-3-5 on defense. A lot of people are playing, and so got our work cut out for us this week. Have to have another great week of preparation, as always. That's what it's all about, and we got to come ready to play. Another 8:15 kickoff, so night game for our fans. Our fans seem to love to come out to those night games, so we're looking forward to another great environment. And the environment last week was terrific. It was a homecoming crowd, and can't say enough positive things about our fans, the muss, the band. It was all going on Saturday night, so we need to repeat that this coming weekend. So questions? How about those Mammoths? 7 in a row now. Yeah, 7 in a row. Yeah, so best record in the NHL. I think we got the most. Well, we were tied for, I think the Devils. And, did you just snort? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Go Mammoth.
Win on Saturday in all phases. With Cincinnati rolling into town, we have struggled with the top-tier teams in the Big 12 with the offensive line levitation in the red zone and the subsequent lack of offensive production. What is your plan to correct this deficiency?
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Did you say levitation? Define levitation for me. Like levitating, like they're rising up?
The push.
Okay. Well, we fare, again, good teams is, there's typically, it's tougher matchups. Not that that's an excuse, but good teams are good teams for a reason. I mean, they're good football teams, but I think this year we've had 6 really good ball games and twice where we didn't play our best. But we're just going to continue working and trying to figure out ways to continue to win games. And I don't have a great answer other than that. So tough question, but thank you.
Do you expect Devin Dampier to see that?
We'll see how practice goes. It's only Monday, obviously. Practice cranks back up tomorrow, and he's certainly feeling better each day. But really, we'll just have to see how he progresses and where that goes. And if he's not ready, then we know Bird is ready to go again if he needs to be.
Over the course of your long career, leave all the names out of it, but there may have been times where you started a quarterback who wasn't anywhere near 100% because you thought that player could go and was still way better than anybody else you could have put out there.
Mm-hmm.
Did Bert Thicklin change your idea maybe of what would be possible if Devin Dampier isn't 100%? You think you can see him performing at a level now where maybe it would make sense either in the middle of the game or before a game to get him?
Well, I think the bottom line is, and always will be, which quarterback, which player for any position for that matter gives you the best chance of winning. And if a 90% Devin Dampier we feel gives us a better chance than 100% Bird, I'm not saying that's just an example. Then we go with the guy that we think is gives us that best shot. And so I can tell you we got a lot of confidence in Bird, especially after what we saw on Saturday night. But Devin is still QB1. Make no mistake, there's no QB controversy or of any sort. And we'll just have to measure Devin's progress day by day and see where he ends up. And it's going to be, pretty much he's got a lot of input. And he's an experienced vet. And Saturday night he just says, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it. I'm ready if you have to have me." He was ready for an emergency situation if it came to that. But we'll lean on Devin a lot to figure how he's feeling and he's going to do what's best for the team. Devin's a team guy, and so we'll just see how things progress.
Last season, when you guys had a quarterback injury, it seemed to be like a snowball effect in terms of adversity, where just everything started going on. But this year, specifically with Saturday's game, it seemed like the team kind of rallied and showed a lot of resilience, and you ended up having one of your best performances, not only of this season, but the past couple, 3 seasons on offense and defense. What does it say about kind of the mental toughness of this group that they were able to respond to Dampier going out and kind of step their game up, especially after a loss the week earlier?
Yeah, it says a lot, and also a lot about our leadership on the football team. We've got great leadership on this team. Our captains have done a phenomenal job all season long. And we announced to the team after warm-ups, hey, it's Bird's show. We got to support him and rally around him, and they were fired up about that. The opportunity to help him out and be at our best, and so compliments and kudos to the team for doing just that. For being able to rally around the replacement quarterback and play like we did. I mean, we played as well as we've played in a long time.
Kyle, college game day is coming to town for this matchup. Just walk me through how, I guess, getting a national show like that, obviously Big Noon has been here multiple times for multiple games this year. I guess just as a head coach, how do you kind of navigate, having that national attention, and does it create the possibility for any distractions during the week? I mean, just walk me through that.
Well, that's the thing you want to avoid is distractions, and those shows, they do a good job of not really being a distraction for your guys. I mean, the biggest distraction is guys just knowing that they're on, the center stage and having those guys come to town. So, but they're very non-invasive and for the players especially, and they get it. And so it's good for the program, overall, in the big picture. It's great for the university, the program, the community, state of Utah. So I think it's got so many positive things to it, positive aspects. And as a coach, you just try to, early in the week, make sure that your guys understand that, hey, they're here, but it's business as usual, and we don't approach it any differently as far as our preparation, and that they got to be able to block out the noise and not get caught up in it, because we got a game to play and we got to prepare and go through our paces just like we always do.
Coach, you mentioned the 71% pressure rate in the game. I would be curious.
I said around 70%.
Around 70.
Yeah.
I knew. I saw it was 71.
Who said that?
PFF.
Yeah, I think they added some simulated pressures in there, and then also in short yardage when you fill the gaps up, it's not really a pressure, but anyway.
Okay. A lot of pressure.
93% of statistics are made up on the spot. So there you go. Okay.
How do you build off of a performance like that, where you have so much pressure and you've got to maintain that the rest of the way?
Yeah, well, each week is different, and so you're not going to be able to get away with that much pressure in certain weeks, or nor do you want to try to. And so Coach Scally does a masterful job, as does all three of our coordinators, of putting together plans and things that we feel give us the best chance to succeed, and what fits that particular week, and what a certain team is susceptible to, what they're good at handling. I mean, we do all kinds of breakdowns, computer breakdowns as far as the quarterbacks we're facing, how do they handle 3-man rush, 4-man rush, 5-man rush, and so forth, and that gives us a lot of direction on how to go about putting the game plan together. But it's a week-to-week thing, and some weeks, this is probably the highest dose of pressure I can ever remember us applying, and it kind of snowballed. You talk about things snowballing, the more we blitzed, the better it got, and so we just kept on doing it and continued to work. So that was definitely the right move this past week.
What impressed you most about Bird, maybe even during the week, and how he prepared?
His composure and his he's just unflappable. Nothing bothers him, and he is an intelligent young man, extremely intelligent. He's got pretty much the whole offense at his disposal, and that's saying a lot for a true freshman. And he's so athletic. That's another thing. It's something that is so makes him so difficult to defend, and such a so much upside as a quarterback. He's so athletic. He's fast. He's quick. He can make people miss. He's tough. He can take hits, and he's got a really good arm. His arm talent was not really on display Saturday night like it really is, most days in practice. I mean, he's got great accuracy and a strong arm. Wasn't real sharp in the throw game. His numbers were just okay throwing the football. But as he gets more time and down the road in the future, I think you're going to realize that he's got a really good, accurate, strong arm in addition to his athleticism.
Kyle, I'm curious about your thoughts on, Bird and Larry Simmons seems to have, a great connection. There was a couple of times where, they were on the same page last night or on Saturday. And also, in that West Virginia game, Bird had that deep shot to Larry. How have the two of them maybe, worked together through this process as the season has went on?
I think that's probably more coincidence than anything. I don't think there's any concerted effort or any special bond that he and Larry have. I think it's just a matter of, like I said, Larry being in the right place at the right time, had the right route called, and Bird looking in the right location. So I wouldn't put it any more than that, as far as that goes.
You look at Cincinnati, they got a quarterback that's with 20 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah.
They've only turned the ball over 4 times.
Tremendous. Yeah.
They got such a balanced offense. They have 3 guys over 400 yards rushing, 4 guys over 300 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
How do you concentrate or attack a team that's as balanced as that?
Yeah, they're very balanced. You hit it all. All the not all the positive, but the things that they do exceptionally well, and they're also really good red zone touchdown percentages over 70%. balanced, as you say, nearly 200 yards rushing and about 280 or 90 throwing, scoring nearly 40 points a week, and they can hurt you different ways. But maybe the biggest RPO team that we faced as well. They really lean heavily on the RPOs, and so Coach Scally and the defense has their work cut out for them. But I got no doubt that we'll have a good plan, and it's just a matter of going out and executing. But they present problems. There's no doubt about it. They're one of the best offenses in the league.
Two more, Steve, DJ.
Coach, we didn't really get to ask you last week about him, but your thoughts on just Coach Prime and the job he's done there in Colorado.
Terrific job, and he has brought that program back into national prominence. They're sold out every week. They got great crowds there. What he did last year, had a terrific year last year. They're not where they want to be this year, I'm sure, but he has just injected all kinds of passion, energy, enthusiasm into the program, and that's who he is. He exudes that. I mean, with his personality and the way he goes about his business, and so can't say enough good things about what he's doing there.
Can you talk about Cincinnati's run defense? Because obviously you guys have an elite rushing attack.
Haven't really studied that yet. As I say every week in the press conference, I start with their O, and I get to the defense by about this evening. So.
Then in that case, switching gears.
Okay.
Richmond coaches get let go with $49, $53 million owed. It seems crazy. Professional
Chicken feed to those big programs. Drop in the bucket. Anyway, what were you going to say?
just your thought if this is going to continue to escalate,
Yes.
if there's a way to control it and slow it down?
I think as long as the NIL, and the NIL still exists, and you say you got the rev share, but the rev share is just a piece of the pie. That's it. I mean, there's many more resources and things that are available to the players at these blue blood schools than just the rev share. And when big boosters are pumping millions of dollars into rosters, they want results. It's more, pressure's on more so now than ever as far as needing immediate results. And if the boosters, if you got a guy that's giving you 40, 50 million bucks, he's going to have some say in what goes on. And if he's not happy with what's going on and he wants a change, most likely there's going to be a change. I think Coach Saban had some good, kind of that along that same line about a week ago or several days ago that was really accelerating coaches' shelf life. And so I don't see that changing unless there's a dramatic change in the structure of college football and how the players are compensated and where it heads. I think as long as it's in the current climate, you're going to continue to see massive turnover like that, especially at the upper echelon schools. All right, the pizza's still here. Just making sure we didn't quit on you. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
I do love that Kyle Whittingham mentions the pizza every single week at the end of the press conference, because he is a man who enjoys food. One thing that we've really come to know about Kyle Whittingham from attending media days and things like that, the guy knows. I honestly believe that's why I think it's why he's gone on that 9-year streak of working out, because he knows he's going to eat a ton. So he better work out every single day in order to keep the weight down and his heart healthy and all that kind of stuff, because he just, he's a food man, and he's making sure that the media is fed. And really, that's sometimes a strategy that a coach will use to try to get back into the good graces of a media that's starting to sour on him. I'm sure that Brian Kelly was thinking about bringing in some pizzas in LSU. We'll talk about that more later in the show during the Daily Dump. But that's Kyle Whittingham, head coach at the University of Utah.
That's how you save your job? Is that what you're saying?
It's how some
you
people
offer pizza?
You try. It works if your media is like me, where you bring in like some snacks and just you know what? Maybe this guy's not all bad.
You know what? Maybe he shouldn't have kicked the field goals.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't need to win football games. Utah 53, Colorado 7. When you talk about washing away a lot of the pain from a Texas Tech loss, the West Virginia game did that immensely. When you talk about getting the bad taste of a third straight rivalry loss out of your mouth, not a much better way to do that then a night game at Rice-Eccles Stadium where the weather was just spectacular. Perfect. It was unseasonably warm. Well, I don't even know if it was unseasonably warm. It was warmer than it should have been for that late at night at Rice-Eccles Stadium. And starting from the second play of your offensive output, you just knew it was going to be a really interesting night. Bird Ficklin, the freshman quarterback who we have seen in spot duty, was amazing running the offense. Jason Beck was amazing calling the offense against a Colorado team that we told you on Friday was going to have nothing for you in stopping the run. We spent 35 minutes on Friday morning saying, don't overcomplicate it. This is not a time where you have to get cute. You don't have to do anything fancy. Just lean on these guys. And that's exactly what this Utah offense did. There is something to be said. Now, I know the season hasn't been perfect. I know that there are still some of you out there who are, it's Big 12 championship or bust, and now you've got to, work the math and the tiebreakers in order to make that happen. There's something to be said for a staff and a team, more importantly a team, that responds this way after a painful loss in a rivalry game or a painful loss on national television against Texas Tech. For this group of people, this group of individuals that come together as a team to try and do exactly what we saw on Saturday night, to actually accomplish that. And yes, the schedule has been complementary to that effort. The fact that it was West Virginia after Texas Tech and that it was Colorado after BYU, those are helpful, right? Because West Virginia, very problematic. Colorado, they're not a good team right now. Interestingly enough, they've had some good games. They were coming off a bye week and their best win of the season. So if you're Colorado, you were coming into this game thinking we were more rested than we were in any previous game, and we just built a little belief in ourselves by beating an Iowa State team that at one point was being talked about as, hey, maybe Iowa State's the best team in the Big 12 conference. Iowa State took a loss to BYU this weekend after an early lead, and once again, to the chagrin of most people wearing red, BYU proves that they are a squad to be reckoned with. But this Utah football team putting up 422 yards of rushing offense in the game. Bird Ficklin, 20 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown. He also threw for 2 touchdowns. He wasn't as efficient, as you heard Kyle Whittingham say in the press conference, as maybe they would have liked for him to have been. He came into the game, of course, 8 for 8 on the season, 9 for 9 on the season. And yeah, he was 9 for 9 on the season, and now he's
You go 10 of 22? Is that what it was?
Yeah, so now he's 19 for 31 on the year, and his completion percentage goes from 100% down to 61 after one start.
What a drop.
What a drop. Precipitous drop for Bird Ficklin. You had – look, this was a whole team effort, obviously. The defense was absolutely tenderizing Colorado's front. Morgan Scally and not any kind of individual standout, but Morgan Scally and his entire defense. Reynolds played a ton. Trey Reynolds played a ton in this game and played incredibly well. Jonnu Hall, Levani Demooney must not be 100% healthy because it was Jonnu Hall and Trey Reynolds as kind of like your primary starting backers in the first half.
And how about Jonnu Hall, man?
And
like all over the place.
A couple of sacks in this game for Jonnu Hall. Elijah
Helped
Ellis
force-
in the mop-up time ended up like
Yeah, he was great too.
he played great. There was no like individual tackling machine in this game. It was a team effort all the way down. And Colorado at halftime, I'm sure most of you have seen this number. Colorado at halftime had minus 18 total yards. There was, I think it was halfway through the second quarter, Orion Phillips on his one fake punt pass to Dallin Bentley had more yardage than Staub or Salter.
Staub had some nice throws, so that's interesting that he ended up with
later.
more. Yeah, it's interesting he had more than Staub.
Well, Staub,
too.
I think, hadn't played yet in the game.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But so Salter was, it was.
I was going to say
Orion Phillips at like halfway through the second quarter had more yards passing than Caden Salter had, and you're like, man, this is really going Utah's way. Now, how do you process a win like this one? Because obviously, you want to do exactly this again to Cincinnati. College game day is coming to town. Nationally televised game. Big stage. It is everything that you hope for, wish for, long for as a college football player. Night game. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's make it big. Utah's football program has not risen to these occasions recently.
Did you see my research that I did?
James did the research, and I'm like,
I have to give.
reluctant almost to say, well, so
I let me tell you this. I have to give a lot of the credit to Paul Kirk. He put it in his presser, but I had to find out what the other road game was. If they had more road games than what was mentioned in his article, that either Big Noon or Game Day was a part of.
2-6 in the nationally televised either Big Noon or Game Days here. 2-6. And again, it is like that's the Friday night SmackDown WWE co-branding game.
Does that also count as one? If Game Day hadn't been here, do we count? Hey, when WWE's in town and Big Noon and Game Day, they don't do so well.
Well, I promise you that is going to factor into whatever Game Day does, whatever ESPN does, because McAfee,
he's all in on,
and pro wrestling are like hand in hand. They do this. So
when ESPN's in bed with WWE too now.
So there's going to be, obviously the event is on Friday night, and the traveling circus should be up and on the road and moving on to the next city by Saturday morning, but they'll find some kind of way, right? Whoever won the main event.
Is that
honestly,
the celebrity picker?
Your celebrity picker might end up being whoever's the main event wrestler and not really have a tie, because ESPN is most likely more invested in marketing their product than in making sure that it's a Utah Ute. But we'll see. We will see how it plays out. The most important thing is that you've got to beat Cincinnati. Does it matter that it's on not Big Noon, that it's on College Game Day and the crew's going to be here and everyone's going to be sitting at President's Circle, and hopefully if you're a college student, do the thing, stay up all night, camp out, get cold, right? Go to the pancake breakfast in the morning, be the person that's providing hot chocolate for everyone. Like, go live this experience because it's going to be rewarding. It's going to be fun. For this team, you've got to be closer to the squad you were against Colorado than the squad you've been against Texas Tech and against BYU. And there were a lot of people walking out of Rice-Eccles Stadium on Saturday night, and there were a lot of people doing radio even on these airwaves, and there were a lot of people doing radio across town, and there were a lot of people texting and tweeting and thinking, hey, there might be some kind of quarterback controversy here. Let me tell you, there's no quarterback controversy. Kyle Whittingham made sure to let you know post-game. You have the sound, right, James? Okay, play that. He reiterated that point in this morning's press conference. Okay, let's, James, play that. So Kyle Whittingham is not going to let this grow into anything from a internal standpoint. But let me tell you, you as a fan, yeah, there's a call coming, 877-353-0700. If you want to call back, I guess whoever that was hung up. You do not have a quarterback controversy because the head coach says that. The right way to view this is what you have in 2025 is the opposite end of the misery spectrum that you had a season ago. I have been beating this drum in college football for more than a decade. You have to have somebody as a backup quarterback who can win you football games. And what you've got at the University of Utah is you've got two guys who could be starters. You've got Devin Dampier, who miss me if you're the person who thinks that he's a liability for this program. He's not. Could his deep ball be better? Certainly. There are quarterbacks around the country who wish that they were as fast as him, as elusive as him, who've got great arms. Like, I understand that nobody is perfect. Is Devin Dampier Alex Smith? No, he's not. But guess what? He's your starting quarterback. The beauty of this situation and the way to approach it as a Utah fan is when Devin Dampier goes down, you do not have the situation you had last year, the year before, where your heart starts beating, you get this sick feeling in your gut, your palms get sweaty, you get that acidic taste in the back of your throat. Like, we don't have another thing here that can win us a football game. We can't do this. Bird Ficklin is just as good as Devin Dampier. I'm not here to tell you he's better. I'm not here to tell you that 100% healthy, these guys are the exact same. I think Bird's got more of a live arm. I think that Devin's decision-making, he's proven to us over and over and over again this season that his decision-making has drastically improved from what we saw from him on his New Mexico tape. But you do not have a drop-off from the starting quarterback to the backup quarterback. Not a significant one, if there's one at all. Do you know what kind of luxury that is, Utah football fans? Do you know how difficult that is going to make your life in the NIL space, by the way, coming up in the offseason? This is the blessing that you were wishing for the last two seasons when you were just, is Cam Rising going to be okay? He's back. He's not back. Where's Cam? Who's in? Like, you won't find a bigger fan of Bryson Barnes on the planet than me. But we knew, and everyone in that locker room, more importantly, knew, and everyone in the coaching offices knew that when you took Cam Rising out of the lineup and you tried to replace him with Bryson Barnes, all due respect, with Isaac Wilson, all due respect,
Nate
with
Johnson,
Luke Patari,
Nate Johnson
with
for a couple starts
with
there.
Whoever, it didn't matter. Everyone in the building at Rice-Eccles Stadium knew, and most importantly, his teammates knew, most importantly, the coaches knew, it's not the same. It's not on the same level. Cam Rising is an A, and what we're plugging in there is a B- at best, and sometimes was a damn F, right? So that's what you don't have to worry about. If Devin Dampier, give him whatever grade you want to give him, all right? Devin Dampier is a B+ quarterback. He's an A- quarterback. If you're harsh and you don't like, the fact that he had some struggles against BYU and Texas Tech, okay, this guy's only a B. Well, guess what? You put Bird Ficklin in the game, and your offense grades out the same. That is such a luxury. That is magic for an offensive play caller, for a coaching staff, and most importantly, for a team. And if you heard Bird Ficklin's comments post-game, Bill and Scott and Sly were talking to him post-game and said, hey, so tell me, when you found out you were going to get the start, we know that you were preparing this way during the week. What was it like? And I'm paraphrasing here, but Bird was just like, man, it was really cool because Devin Dampier came up to me and said, go do this. The guys trust you. We trust you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the whole thing for a backup player at any position. Most importantly, a backup quarterback. If your team and your coaches trust you, They trust that you have what it takes to go out there, run the offense. You're not going to turn the ball over. You're not going to take stupid sacks. They trust that you are a competent player. They go out and they execute their job closer to perfection. Your defense goes out there with confidence, like, hey, we don't have to be perfect today because our guy on the opposite side, our quarterback, knows what he's doing. It's why the Utah defense responded so well and played so well when Cam Rising was the quarterback. The defense was better when Cam was quarterback. Not because Cam was helping, not because he was a two-way player like Smith Snowden, but because they were like, you know what? We can play free. We can do our thing. If I get this turnover and I give the ball back to him, he's going to go score. If I don't get this turnover and they do score, I'm not cursing my team to a loss because our quarterback can actually lead a responding drive. Bird Ficklin has the trust of this team and this coaching staff and now this fan base in a way that no backup quarterback has at the University of Utah since,
I don't know, would it be
since Brett Ratliff came in and beat BYU?
Yeah, I guess that would be. I was about to say, probably erroneously, Tyler Huntley's freshman year, but he was actually named the starter as a freshman, right? Or was he? Or was that his second year with Troy Williams still in the fold? Anyway, maybe
like we haven't.
Maybe that
and
situation.
By the way, like people, we do this revisionist history thing. Tyler Huntley, for 3 years, was embattled as a quarterback at the University of Utah.
It wasn't until his last year.
Tyler Huntley, and congrats Snoop for another NFL start, by the way.
Great. He looked great on Sunday.
But Tyler Huntley was a guy that we loved when he left. You didn't love him the whole time he was here.
No. Andy Ludwig, when he came back, really helped that whole offense, but especially Tyler Huntley that last year. It's true. And he was pretty good in 2018, the first year they went to the Pac-12 championship game too. It was not quite as smooth as the second year, so he was embattled that year too.
The show today and every day is brought to you by our friends at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Man, Big Willie's. I drove by because I had to go to Costco. I drove by Big Willie's on Saturday. Place was packed out. I wanted to stop, but you can't take the kids into Big Willie's. They had UFC fights. They had college football Saturday. They served breakfast until 2. It was a beautiful day to be watching sports at Big Willie's, and every day is. So go take advantage of the craft food menu, the craft cocktail menu, the cold beers on draft, the refurbished pool tables. Tell them you heard about Big Willie's on the Sean O'Connell Show. They're going to enter your name in a drawing to win 2 Utah Mammoth tickets, club-level seats. Tell them I sent you. Ari Temkin's going to join us. A lot of strange things continue to happen in the Big 12 Conference. We'll discuss all of it. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in our good friend Ari Timken, Big 12 Insider, Big 12 Today on TuneIn Radio. Ari, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great, OC. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. This University of Utah football team did a great job over the weekend of washing the BYU taste out of their mouth with an absolute demolition of the Colorado Buffaloes behind true freshman starting quarterback Bird Ficklin. He was in for an injured Devin Dampier. He led the offense and the rushing attack to 422 yards. I know you were watching this in the late night. What did you think of the performance? What do you think it means for Utah football?
Yeah, it was I made a trip back to Lawrence to see my Jayhawks in their brand new stadium on Saturday. So I had the full day to watch football after that disaster for KU. But, I mean, what a unique, interesting, fun football team, right? If you didn't tell me who was starting at quarterback and I didn't pay attention to it in this game, I might not have known that there was a back quarterback and a true freshman starting. It just kind of feels pretty simple. Like when Utah wins up front, they win. And when they don't, Texas Tech happens. But it was just that simple. They just completely and utterly dominated them up front on both lines of scrimmage. It was an absolute bludgeoning. And what was it, 600 total yards of offense, 425 yards on their ground, 7 sacks. Colorado managed only 140 yards. I mean, you're basically like, plus 400 in yards, 43-0 at halftime. Yeah, Utah completely and utterly destroyed Colorado up front on both lines of scrimmage. And sometimes, OC, as you know, it is a very simple game. And when you've got bigger people up front and your bigger people are able to push their bigger people up front, that's what happens.
We saw Colorado, prior to this game, bye week, of course, coming in, but, they beat, at the time, a ranked Iowa State team. I think we've now maybe cooled off on how good we think Iowa State is, but Colorado beat them. They played BYU incredibly tough. BYU Colorado was the same final score as BYU Utah was. And I don't know, this Colorado team appears to be a little bit bipolar. Obviously, this is the worst defeat in Coach Prime's coaching career since Jackson State, all the way through Colorado, of course. Is this Buffalo's team going to find any kind of bounce back? Their schedule the rest of the way is Arizona, West Virginia, Arizona State, Kansas State. Can they get bowl eligible? They only have 3 wins so far.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I would not poo-poo this win from the Utah perspective. I think there's probably only one win in the Big 12 this season that you could really poo-poo genuinely, and that'd be Oklahoma State. Because, Oklahoma State right now resembles the type of team that Kansas fielded for a good decade in the mid-2000s. I mean, they're not, from a talent perspective, even close. I mean, they didn't have as much talent as Tulsa did, and Tulsa has 2 wins on the season, including one over Oklahoma State. So, any win in the Big 12, I think is a big deal, and especially one where you absolutely destroy a team to the tune of 43-0 at halftime. And, yeah, I mean, this was, to your point, a Colorado team that a couple of weeks ago took it to a ranked Iowa State team, and Caden Salter had his best game. So, I mean, when you think about what they were coming off of, there's been a ton surrounding the Colorado program this season because of Dion and having surgery and, twice now since the offseason, one for bladder cancer and now another that he had for those blood clots he continues to have in his legs. So, I mean, I said, I think, after the first few weeks of the season that Colorado getting to bowl eligibility would be an absolute miracle and would be a huge successful season for them, given everything that's transpired around this program with Dion's health, and then, of course, everything they lost from last season. And I'm not so sure after this game. I mean, this could have been this is one of those losses where, from a coaching perspective, you've got to make sure it doesn't carry over and mean 2 losses, because it certainly could. I mean, when you get absolutely destroyed like that for 4 quarters, I mean, this thing was never close. It was never close. It was almost as if this thing kicked off, Utah goes right down the field, and it felt like it was 43-0 from the start. So, I mean, Arizona next week, that's not an easy win. And Arizona's also fighting for, mid-top of the Big 12. At West Virginia's tough because that's always a tough place to play, but I think that's a winnable game. Arizona State, that depends on health. And then Kansas State's playing really good right now. So the idea that they could win 3 of their last 4 seems very, very difficult. but certainly they could. I mean, they could win 3 straight right now with Arizona, West Virginia, and Arizona State. I don't know that I'm sure I could find 3 wins out of the next 4 games.
Ari Temkin, our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking fallout from the Big 12 weekend. Cincinnati demolishes Baylor 41-20 to get ready for a now national spotlight game against the University of Utah. It's 17 versus 24. College game day is coming to Salt Lake City. The Bearcats are much different than the Buffaloes are, especially up front. How do you handicap this game as we look forward to it?
Yeah, I mean, what an intriguing game that when the season started, we never would have thought week 10, this is where we'd be with College game day coming to Salt Lake for this game. I mean, think about where both of these programs were last year. And, obviously we expected Utah to have a bounce back season, but I don't think any of us expected Cincinnati to be where they are right now. I mean, their only loss was to Nebraska to start the year. I looked, and Brendan Sorsby's nowhere to be found when it comes to the Heisman odds. And when you put him up against, from a numbers perspective, OC, the 2 guys at the top right now of the odds to win the Heisman Trophy, which would be Fernando Mendoza from Indiana and Ty Simpson from Alabama, I mean, his numbers are right there with those 2 guys. And in some cases better, especially when you factor in he's got 27 total touchdowns, 20 through the air, and then 7 on the ground with 1 interception. The one stat that seems to be more towards Simpson and Mendoza would be completion percentage. Those 2 are over 70%, and Sorsby's at 60-something percent, but he's also got nearly 500 rushing yards, and again, those 7 touchdowns. And I'm not even saying he should win the Heisman, but to not even be in the conversation seems egregious because his numbers are right there with the 2 guys at the top of the food chain there. Now, look, Cincinnati up front on both lines of scrimmage, as you just mentioned, OC, is a different animal than what Utah just dealt with from Colorado. And I think the toughest, most intriguing battle here would be the battle between the Cincinnati defensive line and that Utah offensive front. That is where this game will be won or lost for Utah, because Dante Corleone, as we know, is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the country. And with what they've gotten to emerge at that defensive line, they're not just a Dante Corleone D-line. Like, this is a disruptive, very good D-line. In fact, I mean, what they did against Baylor last week or on Saturday should be telling, not from the standpoint of the 41, but the 20. I mean, this is a Baylor team that has flaws and is extremely bad defensively, but had been putting up big-time numbers on the offensive end. So for them to hold them to 20 points, their lowest scoring output of the season, says a lot about where their defense is and their defensive front in particular. Because, again, Baylor, despite having a horrible defense, did not have much trouble scoring against teams as it did against Cincinnati in this game. So, I think the game is in the game in the early handicap of this Saturday tilt between Cincinnati and Utah should definitely be what Cincinnati is able to do on that defensive line, against that Utah offensive front. But I think the fact that it's a home game for Utah, the fact that it's a late game, a night game, I think a lot of these factors favor Utah. My early read on this is to pick Utah to win it, but I've also sort of been down and out on Cincinnati most of this year. So I think I've misevaluated how good Cincinnati is. And again, I think whoever wins that battle between the Utah offensive line and the Cincinnati defensive line will win this game.
BYU dug themselves out of a hole against Iowa State. Cyclones started hot and looked like they were going to take control of that game, and obviously BYU fought their way back into it and ended up with a very comfortable victory to remain undefeated, not only in Big 12 play, but on the season. They're now a top 10 team, tied for a top 10 spot, which is a very strange situation. How legit is BYU in your mind?
Yeah, I'm wondering, too, if Kyle Whittingham's just trolling us right now. And he's like, oh, they're starting a true freshman quarterback. Let me see what I can do now. Dan Pierce, I haven't hurt.
No, he's hurt.
Wanted Ficklin to play.
He's hurt. Devin's hurt.
No, I know. But I mean, I wouldn't put past Whittingham to troll us like that, okay? But, no, I mean, look, what Bear Bachmeier is doing is incredible, especially when you consider that, like, this game on Saturday was, to me, his best performance of the season. So, I mean, you go up against an Iowa State team that, look, their defense is not the same. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, with an extra week to prepare with one of the smartest defensive minds in college football, I mean, the guy that basically invented the 3-3-5, who has an extra week to prepare for a true freshman quarterback, and Bear Bachmeier puts up those numbers. And then you consider they go into the second half without L.J. Martin, and he does that. I mean, what? And again, I get it. Like, the defense helps. Scoring on defense is gonna mean a ton for a true freshman quarterback. But I mean, if you're watching these games and your takeaway is that Bear is buoyed by a defense that's putting points on the board, I think you're missing a huge part of what makes them really good. Like, they're just stacked and loaded, and every position, there's no holes. And again, like, their linebacking core is so good. Like, I thought coming into the season, BYU would take a step back because of some of these turnover scoring things that just don't tend to carry over year to year, and BYU has proven that completely wrong. I mean, for them to be on the road against an Iowa State team that, again, I know it's coming off 2 straight losses, but Jack Trice is a tough place to win. They're on the road. They're down multiple scores in the first half of this game, and you don't have your bell cow running back. He's hurt, and he's not coming back in this game, and a true freshman is able to put enough plays in the field in order to win the game. It's just this combination of the right personnel, OC, the right play caller. Like, you just see some of these throws that he's making are a product of great play calling and great design, getting Chase Roberts wide open. There was a 78-yard pass where Roberts was open, and then he streaks on the field, and it's like that. He's got multiple outlets on that play. He knows exactly where to go. It's set up perfectly for him. So, look, I mean, there's no arguing with 19-2 since 2024. There's no arguing with what they're doing. They're extremely talented. They're loaded. I think they went on the road and proved just how good they are, again, because things didn't go their way in the first half, and yet despite that, despite the injuries, despite whatever else, they still were able to put a ridiculous number on the board, especially in the second half. And credit to the whole team. It's a team effort. But, I mean, when you think that they'd given up 24 points and over 300 yards of offense the first half of that game, and you go into the second half without L.J. Martin, you're toast on the road. And then to win it going away like that, just a remarkable win for a team that just keeps getting better and better. But look, I mean, it's only getting harder and harder for them. I mean, we knew when they hit this stretch that this is going to be a very difficult stretch, and it's only going to get tougher right now. I mean, they have the bye week, which is a perfect bye week, and then at Texas Tech, TCU is no slouch. They're already bowl eligible at 6-2. And then at Cincinnati, we just went over how good Cincinnati's been. So, I mean, their next 3 will be even more difficult than their previous 3.
Yeah, I think L.J. Martin's health is going to be very, very important for this BYU team moving forward. And we'll keep a close
totally
eye on
right
it.
about that. I mean, it'd be hard to think that they can win a 4-quarter football game, without having a bell cow back like L.J. Martin, and given they're not even healthy at that position anyways. So, I mean, Moa, I can't even remember his status because it's been so long where it's come up that he's even, been a part of this offense. So it's like, what's Moa's status? When is he coming back? And L.J. Martin too, who has had injury issues in the past.
Houston, we haven't talked about Houston real quick. It's West Virginia, UCF, TCU, Baylor. They probably have the friendliest schedule the rest of the way for a team that's only sitting at 1 loss. Are we going to be talking about them in a Big 12 championship game?
I mean, how unbelievable. So, like, BYU this shouldn't be surprising to us. And the fact that they now have 2 top 10 ranked teams in basketball and football shouldn't be surprising to us. Houston having 2 AP top 25 teams, though, should be. What Willie Fritz is doing is incredible. I mean, when you think about where this program was, just from like a holistic point of view, like talent-wise, NIL-wise, facilities-wise, and for Fritz to be coming in year 2 and already be bowl eligible, I mean, their win total this year is 5.5. So, and then, as you mentioned, I mean, coming down the stretch, I mean, if they had more than 2 losses in conference play, that would be a huge disappointment given where they are right now and what they have left. It's West Virginia at UCF, TCU, and at Baylor, as you mentioned. I think TCU at home may be their toughest game. But, I mean, it's been, number one, from a defensive perspective. You lose Shieldwood. He goes to Texas Tech. You think you might take a step back. They bring in, a defensive coordinator, Armstrong, and it's like they still have talent. I don't know what it is about Willie Fritz, but with McCutcheon, they just have a ton of talent on defense. Carlos Allen in the middle of that defensive line. Like, they lose a ton of guys at the portal. They don't have tons of NIL money, and yet year in and year out, they're just really credible on defense. Even last year when they were bad, they were still good defensively. And I think they have the perfect marriage of the quarterback. Like, they're not an elite passing unit, but I think they run well. They're well schemed. Dean Connors does all the little things you want for running back to do. He blocks well. He knows exactly what his role is. Like, they just have this perfect balance on offense. I think they're similar to Utah from a standpoint of if you force them to have to throw the ball consistently, I don't trust them, and I don't trust their weapons. But beyond that, I mean, they're like when they dictate the terms, they're winning up front. They're really, really tough to beat. And I would say at this point where they are, with the one conference loss to Tech and what they have left relative to what Tech has left, Utah, BYU, all the other major Cincinnati, all the other major players in this race, they have the easiest road to getting there.
Yeah, looking at it, it makes me real sad for Utah to look at what Houston's got in front of them. I'll say that, but we'll let it play out because strange things happen in college football. Ari will be watching it all the way. So will we. Ari, thanks for your time as well.
Take care, brother. Be well.
Ari Temkin, that is the man, Big 12 Insider. He does Big 12 Today on TuneIn Radio. Houston is a one-loss team right now. They're 7-1 on the season. They're ranked 22. Their only losses come to Texas Tech. They beat a ranked Arizona State team. And the rest of the way, they might be underdogs against TCU. They're going to be favored in all those other games. Blah. Hot Lunch is coming next on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Ooh, providing the hot lunch today, Burgers Grilled Right in Sugar House. 1202 Wilmington, right there, kind of in the heart of the Sugar House business developments behind the Nordstrom Rack, over by the raw milk store. Man, Burgers Grilled Right, they really do it well. And today they have provided us the pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Pretzel bun. The star of this show is the bacon onion marmalade, which is a condiment of sorts, and it is better than you think it is. Perfectly grilled burger patty, as is always the case at BGR. Bacon, cheddar cheese. Wow. My mouth is watering. I should not have taken 3 bites and then put it down to do a full segment of radio. This thing is fantastic. Burgers Grilled Right at 1202 Wilmington. Tell them that you heard about Burgers Grilled Right, BGR, on the Sean O'Connell Show. Shout us out while you're making your order. They'll give you a discount.
I don't know. Maybe they'll let you get a toothpick sample and then you tell them. I don't know.
Maybe.
Probably not.
BGR,
Probably tell 'em
Burgers
before.
Grilled Right in Sugar House, 1202 Wilmington Avenue, right there in the heart of Sugar House. The pretzel bacon cheeseburger is phenomenal. But so far, I haven't had anything from there that I don't like. So you're okay with everything on the menu.
I'm excited for the rest of the week, OC. You were, of course, gone for part of the week that we had the last time that they brought in food and were the hot lunch sponsor. And
well, you got to rub that in.
It was, but you missed out on the Oktoberfest burger. They're bringing it back this week. I told our guy DJ to make sure they do that because you're here all week this time, and that's when you're going to have to try. So I believe they're bringing that back this week, but all of them are good. Every one of them they've brought in are amazing. That's probably my favorite, though.
We have to talk about something very strange. I know people don't love spending a lot of time on the Cougars, especially with the rivalry loss feeling so fresh. But right now, BYU is tied at number 10 in the AP Top 25.
Yeah, who they tied with?
Miami.
That's right. Okay.
8-0 BYU is tied with 6-1 Miami as the 10th best team in the country. So this week, your top 25 is actually a top 26. Utah back in the poll at 24. Memphis is sitting at 25. Houston, who we already talked about, is at 22. Cincinnati is at 17. And, of course, BYU sitting up there at 10 puts them just behind Vanderbilt, who made good on their big opportunity on game day.
Yeah.
The kicker, the kid, the Vanderbilt kid that did the Pat McAfee field goal challenge or whatever, got $500,000, I think.
Let's go. It's amazing.
The Nate Bargatze, the clean comedian, he was the celebrity picker. He's a Nashville guy, no brainer there. Vanderbilt,
big sports fan, of course, too.
Improved, and he was like, I've actually been going to Vanderbilt games since way before this team was good. So for people like him,
real Vandy fan,
it's got to be really, really fun to see. And by the way, Vanderbilt is, now that the revenue sharing thing's a reality, and now that you've got some powerful alum with opportunities to give back a little bit to Vandy legally in NIL opportunities, Vanderbilt is one of these schools. I didn't even think about them when we were talking about this years ago. Who can really elevate themselves? Vanderbilt is in the best metro to live in the SEC. Like, all respect to Atlanta and that area for Georgia, but
they're also how close is Athens to Atlanta?
Not close.
Yeah, like Georgia Tech is in Atlanta.
Georgia Tech is in Atlanta,
but that's also
Georgia,
ACC. Georgia Southern, Georgia State.
Georgia State is also in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, so to your point, SEC, like the big brands are not in these great metros. Vandy is not a big brand, but they're in a great metro.
They're in like one of the coolest cities in America. And by the way, would be one of the easiest places to recruit to. It's like the eastern side of the country. It's the South's version of Tempe, Arizona.
Yeah.
You take an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid on a recruiting trip, and you just walk them down Broadway at 10:30 p.m., be like, yes, you could be coming here. And while during football season, you're not going to be hanging out on Friday and Saturday nights down here, the rest of the year, you're also at Vandy.
And you're not a basketball player, so you're going to have more than 1 year, more than one season that you'll be, if you're a big-time player, that you'll be able to enjoy this.
So good on Vandy for being a top 10 team this year. Georgia Tech, they're 8-0. They're sitting at 8. Ole Miss 7-1. They're at 6 or at 7. Oregon is 6. Georgia's 5. Bama, Texas A&M, Indiana, Ohio State up at the top. The last three that I mentioned, Ohio State, Indiana, and A&M, still undefeated. So you've got an undefeated top three. You've got Georgia Tech undefeated at 8-0. You got BYU undefeated at 8-0. They're respectively ranked at 8 and 10. It tells you everything you need to know about the positioning of the ACC and the Big 12, that their undefeated top-ranked teams are behind Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt in the rankings.
Well, and I think in if you zoom in a little bit more, I think it tells you all you need to know about the Big 12's positioning nationally too, OC, because as I mentioned in my grievance on Friday, Georgia Tech is undefeated. They should be highly ranked. BYU has had a much stronger strength of schedule, particularly in their last couple of weeks, than Georgia Tech has had. And the Big 12 is a stronger conference than the ACC is right now. Even if Miami's a better team than anyone, if you want to say Miami and Georgia Tech are, right up there with BYU and Texas Tech or better than those teams, the rest of the conference stinks. And BYU and Texas Tech have to play the rest of a really good conference comparatively. So I think it also at a micro level shows you just how little the AP voters think of the Big 12, which is unfortunate.
Virginia's a good team in the ACC conference this year.
They're scraping by against bad teams, though.
Miami's a good team in the ACC conference. Neither of those teams are on Georgia Tech's schedule this year. Georgia Tech's best win so far this year was 24-21 over a then-ranked Clemson team who is now 3-4 on the season.
I mean, I would say Wake is a better win, but Wake's not anything special. They at least have a winning record.
Wake is 5-2. They had a one-score win over Colorado. They had a field goal win over Clemson. They had a 1-point win over Wake Forest. Virginia Tech is not good this year. They beat Virginia Tech 35-20. Duke is a decent team this year, just over 500. That was a 9-point game. Syracuse is abysmal right now. They beat up Syracuse pretty bad. NC State won't be able to help you out. That's a 500 team. Boston College is next on the Georgia Tech slate. Boston College is 1-7 on the year. Pitt,
pretty good.
Pitt's good. They're 4-1. They're 4-1 in conference play. They're 6-2 overall. They're just kind of outside the top 25. And then you finish your year with Georgia. That's the real resume builder opportunity for Georgia Tech, is the non-conference in-state rivalry game against Georgia that will be relevant for the first time in a while because Georgia Tech is good, but they're not more impressive than Texas Tech. They're not more impressive than an also undefeated BYU, certainly.
Yeah, and listen, Georgia Tech may end up being better than all of those teams. Like, they are the highest ranked team out of all those, including Miami and Virginia, as you mentioned. But if we're going off of what they earned, they're ranked way too high. So just a small quibble I have with this week's top 10.
Also, word bonus for using quibble, because that's a great word.
Of course, it was that Geico commercial that's been playing all the time that taught me that word.
All right, Scott Mitchell joins us next. Kyle Whittingham said no QB controversy. So it's not a QB controversy, but is there a QB question at the University of Utah? Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome in Scott Mitchell, NFL legend, Ute legend, color analyst on the Utah radio broadcast. He joins us on the Sean O'Connor Show. Scott, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. It's always fun when the Utes win. A lot of exciting things. I mean, the Mammoth are doing great. I mean, come on. It's a great Monday.
Yeah, we will spend some time on the red-hot Utah Mammoth today. Kyle Whittingham gave a shout-out on Saturday night. He also gave one in the press conference this morning. Coach Witt is a big Mammoth fan. We'll get to that. But, Scott, you were great on the broadcast. Saw you up there in the booth on Saturday night. In the postgame, you were asking Kyle Whittingham, and you were talking about on your show this morning, Coach Witt says there's no quarterback controversy. Devin Dampier is QB1. I'm totally on board with that. But your QB2 has shown now that he's capable of being a QB1, which is a wonderful problem to have. It is a luxury that Utah fans wish for the past couple of seasons when it was not a reality. How is this handled during the week and heading into a very important game against Cincinnati?
Well, Coach Whittingham will say that he doesn't have a quarterback problem or a controversy, and it's not a controversy at all. It's never a controversy. It's just who's the guy that's right for the team and who's the guy that's going to give you the best chance to win. So externally, he doesn't want to get into it. He doesn't want to have it become an issue. I think it's an issue because you have two quarterbacks. You live in a world in college football where you can't keep guys. And Bert Ficklin is going to be someone who's sought after. And I don't care if they try to hide him for the rest of the year or whatever. And he's the kid that goes, look, I want an opportunity. I don't know that I want to wait. I've proved that I can play. Now, going into this week, what do? I say this week, I say the rest of this week, I say the rest of the season, I would go with Bert Ficklin. I know it's like, and I'm not trying to stir it up. I'm just trying to look at this. You're not probably going to go to the conference championship. It's a small window. I kind of walked through it on my show a little bit. Houston is a problem for Utah, and that's the one team that's probably the biggest problem. You need BYU to win a lot of games, and you just need a lot of people to lose. It's a long equation. It's possible. It's improbable. So for that reason, you're not going to go to the conference championship game. So find out what this kid can really do. Give him a tryout, basically. And not only is it a tryout, but give him an opportunity that if he's going to be your guy moving forward, he's going to get all those freshman mistakes out of the way this year. He's going to get that learning curve, kind of whittled away in these next 4 games. And then you start the season fresh with a guy that's got a lot of experience, a lot of confidence, and he's very capable. And now you really have a chance next year to compete and go to the conference championship and win it, next year. But if you kind of hold out and you kind of, I just think there's a great opportunity for Utah to really know what they have in the player. They're not going to go to the conference championship, so I think it would be a good strategy. The reality is, Sean, these players are not going to stick around. And the way college football is today, and they don't have to stick around. And so you're not going to end up with both of these guys in a year. And I think you have to ask yourself, is it better to look for the long-term future or just next year? Because you're only going to get 1 year out of Devin Dampier, but you get 3 more out of Bert Ficklin. And that, to me, just seems like a better proposition moving forward.
I will entertain this thought process because I think it's the right way to go about it. But also, we have to factor in Kyle Whittingham's own plans, right? He doesn't care maybe about what's going on next year because this is likely his final year as the head coach at the University of Utah. So I know he wants to leave the program in a great place, and I know that he wants to go out on a high note. We all hoped that high note would be a conference championship, a college football playoff appearance. You've already elucidated that those are improbable is probably the best way to put it. So with that being the case, does it change the calculus for Kyle Whittingham on how you make this decision? Because I don't dispute any of what you said, like letting Bert Ficklin kind of play this out might set things up for next year better. But if you're not going to be part of next year, you can't think that way.
Yeah, it's a good question and a good point. I really think, though, Kyle Whittingham has always been a guy who's the program, the what's in the best interest of the program is something I think he's always thought of. He has a great relationship with Morgan Scalley. He's intimated in the past that a lot of decisions that he's made, he's consulted because he knows that Morgan's going to be here when he leaves. You know, he doesn't want to leave the place in a bad place. He doesn't want to leave on bad terms, you know, and I don't think, you know, because he cares about these. I mean, you know, I'm sure he has, you know, a great affection for Morgan and all these other coaches, because one of the great things about Utah is the coaches have been loyal, and it's part of the success of the program is that continuity with these coaches. And so I'm sure as he leaves, he's still going to take care of the coaches. And I would bet, and that's just my speculation, but that he and Morgan probably have conversations about stuff like this. And what do you think? And, you know, because these are things you're going to have to think of as the head coach. And so I think Kyle is always looking to what the best thing for the program is. I use the example of Tyler Huntley. You know, Troy Williams had won 9 games the year before. He was going to be a senior. He was a proven player in the Pac-12.
He was a
He
captain.
was a pretty good quarterback. Yeah, and they started Tyler Huntley as a freshman, and I always say it's, you know, you take a step backwards to take 3 steps forward when you put in a young player like that, and this is kind of a, you know, found money this year, and it's that step backwards to take 3 steps forward. And it's not really going to cost you anything. You know, the year's pretty much defined. You're going to go to a bowl game. You know, you're probably not going to go to so why not? And I think it would be great. And I think there's some really young talent on this offense that you could bring along. You know, this J.J. Buchanan, man, he could be something special. Daniel Bray could be something special. I mean, they're and of course, I think Bert Ficklin could be. So that there's a lot to build on and look forward to with this offense and with this team.
Scott Mitchell is my guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking about the fallout of a Utah victory over Colorado. There are plenty of people having this conversation about, well, Bird he looked so good. He looked good against the Colorado team, though. And he's looked good. To be fair to Bird, he's looked good every time we've seen him. I'm incredibly impressed with the guy. He was 9 for 9 on the season coming into that game. He was a little bit inefficient from a completion percentage standpoint in this game, but he made some big plays, including the second play of the entire game, takes it to the house, huge explosive play. This Colorado team, though, on Saturday night was bad. So how much do you find out about yourself as a quarterback, having played the position at the level you did, when you're playing against like that defense is nothing like the one we're going to see against Cincinnati?
No, and that's part of why I would want him to play, because you're going to find out what you have and what you don't have when you're playing on a weekend where game day is there. There's a lot of hype going into this week. This is a big game in college football. You got 2 ranked teams. There are implications for conference standing. If you're going to have any kind of shot at making the conference championship game, you have to win this game. And so this is to me, this is like, this is exactly when I'd want to get this quarterback in there to see if he can handle pressure, to see if he can handle a big moment, and how ready is he for that big moment. And, you know, and you can't simulate that in practice. You can't, you know, you don't want to get down the road a year from now and go, okay, we'll have a big game this week. It's the first time Bird Ficklin's ever faced a big opponent, and, you know, and he probably isn't, you know, he's probably going to have nerves, you know, who knows what's going to happen. But whereas now he gets that opportunity now, it just puts you so far ahead of the game. And there's something funny about when a player is really good and they just rise to the moment, and they may be inexperienced, but the moment isn't too big for them. And it's a little bit of what I felt when Bird came in the game. It was like I felt like his energy, his play actually rose the excitement, the expectation for the whole team. It felt very similar to when Cam Rising came in, and the whole demeanor of everything just changed. Like immediately, like the San Diego State game when Cam Rising came out, I was just like, wow, this all just changed. And I just kind of got a sense of that's the type of player Bird Ficklin is. So I would love to see him against a good opponent in a big moment, and then you're going to have a much better idea of what kind of player he is.
Whether it's Bird or it's Devin, if you can block the way you blocked against Colorado against Cincinnati, you give yourself a great chance to win. Wayshawn Parker with a huge day. Bird ran for 150 yards as well. I mean, the rushing attack put up 422 yards. It didn't matter who was carrying the ball. Now, look, a lot of that is this offensive line playing the way that we know they're capable of playing. You have to be honest and say a big portion of that also is that Colorado does not have the defensive front that some of these other teams have. But can you take anything as an offensive line, as a running back room from what you did against Colorado and apply it to a much better defense in Cincinnati?
Well, I think you can. I mean, it always comes down to execution and effort, and effort is just about moving your feet. And when you have penalties, when you have mistakes, it's when, guys are not locked into things. And I think that's the biggest challenge that Utah's faced this year is there's just been a lull for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's guys trying too hard. I don't know if it's, people injured. But Utah clearly could have won all of the games that it was in again this year. But for some reason in those big moments, the team didn't show up. And I think you have to just treat every opponent with that same urgency and effort. And I don't know that that's happened. And Coach Whittingham typically is pretty good about getting guys dialed into the moment and what have you. But Devin Dampier being injured has had an impact, a big impact on the team. And when the players see that he can't do the same things that he's normally doing, you get discouraged. You can't help but get discouraged. You're like, because Devin's big thing is being able to run, and when he can run, it's just magic, and it's a very different deal. But if he can't, then it's a problem. So it's part of why I really like Bird coming in and playing, because I think he creates a problem for a defense throwing the football and running it, and that really opens everything up. But I also think it's the players are excited because this guy's healthy and he can make things happen, and we have a real legitimate shot at winning.
Scott Mitchell for a couple more minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. There's a lot of schools in the country that when you get the announcement that Big Noon's coming to your game or College Game Day is going to be setting up at President's Circle, it's a celebration. Everyone's excited. There was almost a collective groan from the Utah fan base with this one, like, oh, come on, because it hasn't gone well in the recent past when you're on these national spotlight games. How do you shake the monkey off your back in this situation? Because it's not supposed to affect the actual gameplay, but I totally understand why the fans feel like maybe it does.
No, it has this year. The two games Utah's lost, and you go, are we jinxed? Are we whatever? And I think you need to lean into it and say, look, there's a lot of respect for this Utah football program, even with the two losses this year. I mean, 3 times this year you've had the biggest shows in college football show up when you're playing a game. I mean, who'd ever thought the Utah-Cincinnati game was going to be significant and significant enough for people to show up? And so you got to lean into it, and maybe it's the football gods just saying, okay, the third time is a charm. Like, we're going to give you one more shot here. We're going to let you go. But I just really think it also is a nod to, hey, there's a lot of respect on the national stage for Utah football now, and it's not a doormat, and it's not a, and you should celebrate that, and you should, and I said today, just don't screw it up this time. Just figure out. I don't care what you do. You gotta win this game. Now it's going to be late, and a lot of people might not see the game, but still, Utah football has respect, and it shows by the amount of times people are giving a nod or showing up and making it relevant. And you want to build on this and continue to, you want to expect College Game Day is just going to show up every year at your school at some point, and that needs to be the norm more than the exception. And that's just part of growing and building your brand into one that's a national brand as opposed to maybe a regional one.
Scott, it's always great hearing from you. Thanks for the time, as always.
You got it. All right, be good.
Scott Mitchell, host of the Down and Dirty, immediately preceding this show, color analyst on Utah radio broadcast, friend of the program, Ute legend, NFL veteran. He's really got it all covered. Make sure you listen to him from 10 to 11 right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. So before we take a break, we have to point out, Scott Mitchell wants Bird Ficklin to start the rest of the way. He's coming at that from an angle of like, hey, he's good enough to get you these wins, but also let him get whatever mistakes are out of his system. There's no margin for error. You don't have any ability to kind of like endure a lost game because you have a true freshman starting at quarterback and just say, all right, we'll get him next time. I think that the comparison he gave, like, hey, they started Tyler Huntley because of his upside over Troy Williams. I think that's a good comp to the situation you're in right now. But I think that the reality is drastically different because Kyle Whittingham is on the exit. I do believe it's going to be his last year. He hasn't definitively told us that that's the case. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't have any reason to believe that I'm wrong about that. But it changes the game from chess to checkers if you're the head coach for 5 more games or 6 more games. It just does. If you have this vision for your exit already in place and Devin Dampier is the vehicle that is going to help you go out on the high note, no matter how good that freshman is, and I think Bird is amazing, you don't say, all right, it's going to be worth it to give him the starts the rest of the way because then next year or the year after that, he's going to be the dude. Like, I think that was part of the equation when they decided to give Tyler Huntley the starts over Troy Williams. That was part of it. They said this Tyler Huntley kid has a higher upside. His right now is close enough to equal that we'll give him the starts. But his upside is the important thing for us here. The upside, I don't think, is part of the calculation for Kyle Whittingham anymore. And I don't think Morgan Scalley, even though he's the head coach in waiting, I don't think Morgan Scalley has that thought about how to go about this either. And even if he did, I don't think it changes what Kyle Whittingham wants to do. It's still his team. Like, will he take Morgan's input? Will he take Jason Beck's input? Obviously. But it's still his team. And I promise you, Kyle Whittingham is going to do it exactly how he wants to do it the rest of the way. I think the big thing here with Devin Dampier is Devin didn't get benched, okay? Devin got hurt. Devin has no reason to be benched. He's been awesome at the quarterback spot for the University of Utah. The reason people are, well, I don't know, like, you have to ask yourself, would Bird Ficklin have won you the Texas Tech game and the BYU game?
I think unequivocally no. I think
unequivocally question mark. We don't know because we didn't get to see it. I don't think that Devin is the reason you lost the Texas Tech game, and I don't think that Devin is the reason you lost the BYU game. If you are a person out there thinking that way, let me know. Make the case. Call us 877-353-0700. Text us 877-353-0700. If you believe Devin Dampier is the reason Utah lost either of those games, make a case as to why. Now, would a healthy Bird Ficklin, when Devin was hurt against BYU, had they gone to Bird Ficklin permanently, would that have changed things, made things better? I'll listen to you make a case for that. But if you assume that these two guys are 100% healthy, how do you make a decision on one or the other? The thing that opens the door here is that Devin is not 100% healthy. Devin has been playing in these games. He's been taking the hits. He's been running. Devin is 80% Devin or 90% Devin. And if Bird Ficklin, now that he's had a start, let's say Bird, who was 100% Bird before, now he's probably like 92% Bird. So let's say it's 80% Dev or 92% Bird because he's got, a bump or a bruise. He's got a sore elbow, something like that after having started a game. Now that conversation gets a lot more interesting because you have a perfect excuse with Devin Dampier being less than 100% to say, Dev, 80% you is not better than Bird Ficklin. 80% Cam Rising was better than everybody on the roster. They decided in the Arizona State game last year that 40% Cam Rising was good enough to let's see what he can do. Because they had just thrown their hands up and they were so fed up with all the other quarterback situations, right? Now you've got a different math equation in your mind. Like the algebra is Devin Dampier X, with the X being the variable of health, equals Bird Ficklin ? Like, what is the X on Bird Ficklin that has to be equal to Devin Dampier? I think it's a health conversation more than anything else, as Kyle Whittingham said. And it makes it a really fascinating conversation. Who should start at QB for Utah versus Cincinnati? There's no quarterback controversy. But I'm going to ask you the question anyway.
Yeah, I think I'll just say real quick, I think it's fair if you like Scott Mitchell, like others who are fans or used to be a player in the program like Scott, have said, I think Ficklin is a better choice to start the rest of the year. I do not think it's fair to say this is a hard choice for Kyle Whittingham, because he said and say anything close to this is a quarterback controversy, because Whit has said unequivocally a couple of times now, the last 2 times he's talked to the media, it's not a hard decision. If Devin is healthy, he's starting. Now, you can disagree with that, but don't get it twisted. They don't have a question on who quarterback 1 is when both are healthy.
There's your variable. That's the X in the equation. When healthy or not. We'll see.
And we don't know if he's healthy this week or not. We'll see about Devin.
We'll talk plenty more about it on the show today. Alex Markham's going to join us later. He'll have some thoughts on it, I'm sure. The Daily Dump is next, and we have a lot to get to in the Daily Dump. Stick with us on the Sean O'Connell Show. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Time for the Daily Dump here on the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by friends at Valley Plumbing. We dump through all of the best stories in sports that we haven't had a chance to get to today. Game day's coming to town. Let me know who you think the celebrity picker should be. I'm going to tell you mine. You've got to go with Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz, Dylan Gunther. You have to go with one of the Utah Mammoth players.
Even though they're BYU donor Ryan Smith's team.
Who cares?
Did you notice the sarcasm as I asked
guess
that
what?
question?
These guys, by the way, are the best team in hockey right now.
Let's go. Toss up, OC. Yeah, they've been amazing.
They've won 7 in a row. All right? They're absolutely red hot. The New Jersey Devils in the East are in the exact same situation, 16 points. They've won. They're on an incredible win streak. If the season ended today, those are your Stanley Cup matchup teams. That's it. Boom, baby. New Jersey Devils, Utah Mammoth, just like we drew it up in the preseason. Post Malone is not available, I've been told, because he's got previous engagements. I don't want it to be. I think it's going to end up being somebody from the WWE crossover event the night before. I think that's probably who the
Apparently
celebrity
it's
picker is going
both
to be.
nights. We've been told on the text line a lot. Apparently they've got WWE things both nights in Salt Lake City. So yeah.
Okay, so further guarantee that'll be someone from the WWE probably. Here's what you do: you bring the Americans. You bring Clayton Keller. You say sit down. You bring Logan Cooley. Sit down. They probably haven't watched a lick of college football. They're in the heat of their season right now, and you just say, "This is Eric Weddle, who's also here on the set with you. He's going to give you your picks, and let the Utah Mammoth guys do it." I mean, that would be my go. Or you just, if you can bring in Alex Smith, who is absolutely cooking in his NFL analyst job right now on the desk. We have to cut it, James. We'll use it tomorrow because we're going to run out of time today. I already know. But Alex Smith ranted yesterday about the Jets and Woody Johnson and about how Woody Johnson is the problem. It was spectacular. I mean, it was the kind of thing that an owner, Woody Johnson is going to make a call to Alex's network bosses and say, "Hey, what's this, man? I'm an NFL owner. You can't let people talk about me this way."
Especially because now ESPN or the NFL owns part of ESPN or vice versa with this recent deal. Like, yeah, they're absolutely getting the call.
Alex Smith is the man on that broadcast. So
good.
If there's a way you could get him back to do it, great. Would love it, right? A Utah football great, always awesome. That's not the direction that game day has gone in most cases lately. So
they had Timothy Chalamet on one week last year. Like, yeah, they're going with real celebrities, not sports celebrities.
Yeah, if you're looking for a big-time celebrity, that probably disqualifies the Mammoth as well. I don't like the Osmonds are 1,000 years old now. We're running out of our.
But at least the Mammoth is not just someone from the program, which would be a detraction from what game day is doing. Even though they're having real like Hollywood celebrities more on the show than they have athletes, at least this is something different than what they've done with Utah in the past.
877-353-0700 at Real OC Sports. Tell me who you think the celebrity picker should be. I also put up a poll question on Twitter at Real OC Sports, just asking who you should start at quarterback if you're Utah. Kyle Whittingham has already told you there's no controversy in his mind. Devin Dampier is QB1, but the fans want to have, like, there are people on the text line. There are people, we just had Scott Mitchell saying, well, no, it can't be that simple. For some, it is. For others, it's not. We'll continue the conversation. Daily Dump right here, brought to you by Valley Plumbing. Big news, LSU has fired Brian Kelly. 4 years in Baton Rouge. He left Notre Dame. I don't use this term anymore because I was so wrong about it, and he was the best example, but destination jobs in college football. There are supposed to be, I thought there were destination jobs, and guess what? I never thought in a million years Indiana would be one of them. I never thought in a million years Colorado would be one of them, but Money will tell you whether it's a destination job or not. LSU, I thought, is not a destination job over Notre Dame. Brian Kelly thought otherwise, and it hasn't worked out. Look at the jobs that are open this offseason cycle.
Look at ESPN
LSU,
television.
They knew what we were going to be
us.
talking about. LSU, Penn State, Florida, Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. I think Colorado is going to be open. I think that Deion Sanders is going to step away for health reasons.
He's not getting fired.
They're
he's going to have
fire him.
He's going to have to step away. Yeah,
But the
I think that's a good
that
call,
these
though.
schools are willing to pay, like Brian Kelly is now going to be paid like $100 million to sit on his butt.
Yeah.
It's insane. These schools do not care. They will pay whatever they have to get that bad juju out of the locker room. And now Kelly is one of the weirdest, most interesting coaches. He's interesting for his weirdness.
Yeah.
Because he does like the fake accent thing, and that he had George Reister, who we've had on the show before and is a Pac-12 guy, played tight end at Oregon. He had a really interesting point that he brought up on Twitter. He said, somebody find me the player from Brian Kelly's tenure at any of his previous stops who tells stories about how Brian Kelly really had a big impact on their actual life.
Did you see the quote from Feldman? I'm sure you're building to this. From Charles Turner, to your point, the former LSU player, former LSU center. So it started 2 years for this guy. Nothing, no interaction. I don't remember any interaction with him other than, hi, how's it going?
Yeah, and look, he is this sort of like detached CEO coach, and some people, I mean, there were plenty of people who were happy to play for that as long as you were winning.
Yeah, and he won a lot up until this point.
It will erode so rapidly if you're not successful. There's all these anecdotal stories coming out now, how like when he took the LSU job, LSU still had to play a bowl game, and he just didn't speak to anybody on the staff who was coaching the team through the bowl game. He just let them do their thing and was just like, I'm going to watch. And he never talked to some of them, and they were just kind of like, do I get to interview? Could I possibly keep my job? Players that are just like, yeah, man, I don't know this dude. So Brian Kelly is, I mean, someone's going to hire him. I don't know who or where, but eventually he'll get another job, probably like an FBS job if he wants one. There are big-time openings available now, and there are going to be more, but this is going to be one of the wildest off-season cycles. You should be very, very grateful as a Utah football fan that if now is the time that Kyle Whittingham decides to walk away, that there's a succession plan in place, and that Morgan Scalley, I think Morgan's going to be a great head coach. It might not be the first year, but I think he's going to be a great head coach at some point. You as a Utah fan should be so, so grateful that you don't have to go to the open market at the same time that LSU, Penn State, Florida, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, UCLA are going to the open market. That would be very, very humbling and sobering for Utah football fans, because every one of those programs that I just mentioned, with maybe the exception of UCLA because of their athletic department's crippling debt right now, every single one of those programs will be offering more money for their head coaching candidate than Utah will.
I could see Brian Kelly getting one of these other jobs, but more like maybe the UCLA, maybe the Oklahoma State.
What if Brian Kelly just gets the Penn State job?
Yeah, I don't see Penn State. I see the low, but yeah, that'd be nuts. So I could see UCLA, I could see Oklahoma State, I could see Virginia Tech. I'm not sure I see any of those other programs. Maybe Arkansas, I suppose, but I don't think another SEC school is going to touch him.
Well, I think the
after
right
what he
thing
did to
do,
LSU.
if you're one of these big blue bloods, I think the right thing to do, and what the model that everyone should be trying to follow, is find the next Dan Lanning, find the next Kurt Signetti,
Marcus Freeman,
find the next Marcus Freeman, find the next Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, like, I know Alabama's just to be the man that followed the man. That's really, really tough.
But
Kalen DeBoer's been successful everywhere, and where's Alabama ranked right now?
He's also, great bounce back year after after a subpar year to Alabama's high standards for sure.
Like, find that dude. Don't find the retread who's already been the face of a blue blood, like high level $10 million type job. Don't find one of those guys. Find the dude who's on the. I don't even think. I think I'd rather have the who's next than like even a Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin's a really good coach.
Yeah.
LSU is probably going to be making phone calls to Lane Kiffin. I think I would rather have that dude who's lesser known, because there's so many great examples of those guys being the right guys that climb up the ladder, being like that natural progression, being a better thing than the plateau. And especially now the age thing, the energy thing, the how much do you buy into the NIL and the transfer portal thing. There's some of these old school coaches that even though they adapt as well as they possibly can, like they actually hate it. For Kenny Dillingham, he can't hate it as much. If he hates it at all, he can't possibly hate it as much as like a Kyle Whittingham can, because he didn't have enough time in a different world when he was a coordinator or a head coach. He didn't have enough time to like get used to that. He didn't have enough time to fall in love with the old system. So the new system can't be nearly as problematic or threatening to guys like that, guys like Marcus Freeman, guys like Dan Lanning. Like, there's a reason why a lot of these schools are going with the dudes in their 30s or early 40s now instead of the 60-plus-year-old or the 50-plus-year-old coach. Now, Cignetti, of course, is the outlier here in the examples I'm using. Kalen DeBoer is also a coach of, he's in his 50s. But there's a reason why some of these big-time programs are looking younger now, and I think it's a good thing to do.
I think what you described right now that's on the market that we're very aware of, OC. There's others probably around the country that we're not as aware of, but I think Jay Hill fits what you described as the up-and-coming guy who's been a great coordinator, head coach, and in his case, head coach at lower level, to be in line and seems to be ready for an opportunity at a high level. Obviously,
if I were UCLA or Oklahoma State, I would be desperately trying to get Jay Hill out of Provo.
Even Virginia Tech, I think is one of those.
I think he would do great even at like Penn State. But to be a realist, Penn State's not calling Jay Hill. If you're UCLA or you're Oklahoma State, I think you should be aggressively trying to get him. The X factor here, and I know BYU fans are like, "Oh, you can't have that." Look. The X factor here is that Jay had a health scare. And I know nobody likes to hear it. BYU is the most family-friendly, real-life, work-life balance-friendly job in Power 5 football. It is.
And he's from Utah.
He's from the state of Utah. He's an active member of the LDS Church. These things do matter. He's had a head coaching position before. He's tasted success. He knows how great that is. He knows how intoxicating that is. He knows how wonderful that is to be that guy. And he can be that guy at UCLA, at Oklahoma State, at Virginia Tech. He would do a great job if he got the LSU thing. But, of course, that's not realistic, I don't think. I think it's going to be harder. If he hadn't had the heart attack, this would be a totally different conversation. If his wife hadn't had the cancer scare, it'd be a totally different conversation. What I know of Jay and what I have heard from so many different people down there at BYU, like, he gets to work with some of his best friends, some of the same guys he got to work with at the University of Utah, and he gets Sundays off.
That's pretty great.
There are no other coaches in college football who have that reality. Zero.
And he gets to stay close to home. That, as you said, alluding to the health scares he's had personally and in his family, I would think staying close to home would be something that would keep him in his current job, even if those other schools call him. But then again, we just talked about how destination jobs are only destination jobs today if they're offering the most money. And those other schools are going to offer a lot more money than you can make at BYU as defensive coordinator and associate head coach.
All right.
Dude, should we shout out our ice cream cake winner from the Colorado game?
We
real
had
quick?
we had plenty of people come in and say and give their predictions at 877-353-0700. Only one got the Baskin Robbins ice cream cake. We will do the contest one more time. Give another ice cream cake away this weekend. Pick a winner, pick a score. Utah, Cincinnati. Text it in. The closest to reality when that game goes final will get a Baskin Robbins ice cream cake. Last week that was
It was Derek who his prediction was 42-10.
all right.
It ended up being even better than that for Utah, believe it or not. Obviously, we know now 53-7. So the others were. We had some 17-point win predictions. Those were the next closest. So anyway, Derek is our winner. Shout out to Derek. We've passed your information along to Baskin Robbins. They're gonna be in touch to let you know where and how you can pick up your ice cream cake. But yeah, like you said, send in your text 877-353-0700 with your score prediction for the Cincinnati game. Obviously, if you're Derek, or I believe it was if you're Derek or Jeff was our first winner in the rivalry game, you can't win two cakes, so you're disqualified from this week, unfortunately. But everyone else, send us your score predictions, and you got to get the right team to win, and you'll win. This is the last one we got to give away, so text them in 877-353-0700.
All right. Reading the text line, reading the comments on Twitter at Real OC Sports, 877-353-0700, with the question being, Devin Dampier, Bird Ficklin, who's going to start this week against Cincinnati? Put it in the context that we have. Both guys have played really well in this Jason Beck offense. Kyle Whittingham has said twice now, there's no controversy. If Devin's healthy, Devin can go. He is quarterback number one. Is Kyle Whittingham in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation? I think it's starting to shape up that way, and I'll explain why next. Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Predator Badlands opens up in movie theaters November 7th. We've got 4 tickets to send you and your friends to see an advanced screening Tuesday, November 4th at 7 p.m. Megaplex Jordan Commons. 4-pack of tickets for a sneak preview on Predator Badlands coming up during Topical Trivia in about an hour. Have you seen the previews for this one? Looks good.
I have. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Predator franchise. The Predator Prey one that was a couple years ago, like Predator versus Native American Warrior. Awesome. Great one. I guess same director, same people.
This is
same producer or whatever.
This same series, they did the Alien versus Predator too, the crossover, right?
Well, they've done a lot. I don't know.
Right, they did a lot. Is this the same? That's
it's just
the same
intellectual
Predator.
property. I don't know if these are the same people, the same producers and
Right,
directors.
okay, but
because
it's the
Aliens versus
same
Predator,
franchise,
they kind
though.
of screwed it up. If
Did
I'm
they?
being honest, like they should have done a better job of it. This one, though, if it's the same, it is the same people that did Prey. Like, you're probably in good hands there. I don't have this confirmed, but I think this is a female Predator instead of a male Predator this time. I'm not sure. In any case,
looks really good on the previews. Give you a chance to go to advanced screening of that in an hour.
no Arnold Schwarzenegger as far as we know in this one, which is a bummer because he really made the first one. All right. Alex Markham's going to join us here in just a little bit. Damned if you do, damned if you don't on the quarterback situation. If you're Kyle Whittingham right now, we have people texting in of equal numbers saying it's got to be Bird. And other people saying it's not even a debate. It's obviously Devin if he's 100% healthy. So there's going to, if you win these games, if you beat Cincinnati, whoever the quarterback is against Cincinnati, everyone's going to say that's your starting quarterback.
See, I told you he's the starter the rest of the year.
Exactly. Whoever's on, like, if it's Dev, I'm assuming Dev gets healthy this week. Kyle Whittingham, we take him at his word. He says Devin is QB number 1. Jason Beck brought the kid from New Mexico. He's going to probably lean that way.
Paid him a fair amount of money.
Yeah, you're only paying one of these guys $1 million this year. Okay,
Yeah.
So if Devin Dampier beats Cincinnati, all of the people that are saying, "Come on, guys, there's no debate here," they're vindicated. If Bird Ficklen's in and he beats Cincinnati, every one of those people see, like, exactly, see what I told you? Now, whoever it is, if you don't win, you don't win this game,
you're going to want the other
saying,
guy.
it's because you didn't play the other guy.
Yeah, even the guys clamoring for Bird right now, if he plays and you lose to Cincinnati, a lot of those same people on our text line and other places are going to be like, yes, I told you should have started Devin. Like, it's such a, one of our texters put it very, very well. It's such a shiny new toy concept here. And listen, no, I don't mean that to any disrespect to Bird. I'm with everyone who has good feelings about Bird Ficklin. I just don't understand why you have bad feelings against with Devin Dampier. I don't understand that.
Let me ask you a question. All of you out there, hypothetical, I don't even need an answer. If Bird Ficklin can't run, or if Bird Ficklin is limited in running, can he beat teams with his arm? Because that's the criticism about Devin Dampier for the people who have criticisms. And again, don't count me among them. I think he's been great for this Utah team for the most part this year. But yes, he's a dual threat quarterback, so he needs the ability to run in order to be at his best. He's not a guy who can stand back there in the pocket and dice teams up with ease. He can't get the ball downfield on a bad leg with ease. He just doesn't have that kind of arm talent. He's a kind of like right down the middle passer and runner. So I don't know. Can Bird stand back in the pocket, immobile, and it looks like he's got more of a live arm.
Yeah.
His accuracy through the first 7 games of the season, when he was asked to throw 1 pass per game, was awesome. In this game, it wasn't perfect. So do we believe that Bird Ficklin, if he, for some reason, gets corralled in a pocket because Cincinnati's a better team or because he twists an ankle or whatever, can he beat you with his arm? it's a good problem to have. Everything I say about this is from a standpoint of, I think you've got two quarterbacks on this roster that can win you the Cincinnati game. That is a miracle. I think that's fantastic. But I think this coaching staff has to ask itself, all right, we need Devin Dampier needs to be able to run to be the Devin Dampier that we brought here, the reason we brought him here. He needs to be able to run. And that's as far as the question goes for me. Dev, can you run? Yeah, I can. Show me. That's what practice is for. It ramps up tomorrow. Today is just kind of a lift, walkthrough sort of a day, right?
Bloody Tuesday tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow will be a tough practice. Wednesday will be a tough practice. Thursday you start to taper off. Friday, best Fridays in football, blah, 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 right? Like, if Devin is saying, I'm good, man, I'm ready to go, I stayed out for precautionary reasons last week, let's do this thing. It was effectively a bye week for me. Now I'm back. And it's the return like we saw from him against West Virginia. He's back to healthy. Awesome.
Well, and ASU, by the way, he's already recovered quickly from a similar injury with a week of rest in between. So I think I'd be optimistic that he can go this week based off of that. But we shall see. Like you said, I don't know why we need to be building up one guy and tearing down the other guy. How about we're grateful that Utah has two guys that can maybe win you the rest of your games. And I mean,
somebody made sure to text in and just and make a comment about Isaac Wilson. Stop.
He did.
Isaac,
he did play, I guess.
He
But
played.
yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Isaac Wilson did play. That's a great way to put it. Look, 97-08, I don't know if he can beat teams with his arm, but I know he gives a better chance than Dampier when immobile. Exactly. A mobile Devin Dampier and a mobile Bird Ficklin. Now we're having a conversation. An immobile Devin, it's an easy decision if one or the other of these guys can't move, because both of these guys need to be able to move. The beauty of it is you have a guy who's a close analogy from a skill standpoint to your starter that can come in and run this offense without a lot of change. Like, if you put number 4 on Bird Ficklin in that game, people just would have thought he's a healthy Devin Dampier.
Yeah.
That's you would have looked at it, that, especially that 63-yard second play of the game. Everyone just been like, "Oh, Dev's back."
I think we're also underestimating everyone who has a lot of the Bird Ficklin love here, and he's obviously the guy that should start the rest of the season even if Devin is healthy. I think you're underestimating just how bad that Colorado team was, too. I think you're underestimating just how.
Well, all you can ever do, though, is ask a player to perform against the competition he's against.
Yeah, absolutely,
right? So,
and he played well.
You can't punish Bird Ficklin for dominating Colorado because they're Colorado. You just have to say, how'd you grade out? Like, what are you? And the coaching staff is better than we are at this. What did you do this week that was good? What did you do this week that was bad? Most of it that he did was great.
Yeah.
Right? So you say, okay, good enough. Now, let me see if my starter, who I pay more than anyone else on this team, is healthy. Devin, can you go? And he says, yes. All right. You got 2 days of practice this week that you got to show me that you're actually good to go. And if that answer is true, you're starting against Cincinnati. You're going to go out there against the Bearcats. And, by the way, if your teammates on the special teams, on the offensive line, on the defense, play the way they did against Colorado, this is not a close game. That was the best complete team performance Utah has put forth. And was that sparked by a Bird Ficklin touchdown on the second play of the game? Yeah, probably in some ways. But the reason you're lucky right now as a Utah football team member and as a fan is because you've got two QBs who can win you football games. And there are probably 20 teams in the country that really get to say that with great confidence. We're way over time. We got to take a quick one here. Alex Markham's going to join us next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. 801-850-9100. Advanced Windows, best discounts of the year right now, incentivizing you to get out there and get your windows fixed. Energy savings, increase curb appeal, increase value on your home if you're looking to sell anytime soon. More importantly, you just have the peace of mind of knowing that your windows are the highest quality they could possibly be, made by a local company, installed by a local company, your warranty serviced by a local company with no middleman. $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Tell them OC sent you, 801-850-9100. Advanced Windows and advancedwindows.com. If you just need window coverings, they can take care of you there. If you need a doggy door installed in the sliding glass that goes out onto your back deck, they can take care of you there. If you're just worried that maybe that moisture that's starting to accumulate between the panes on one particular window is a sign of greater problems, just give them a call, 801-850-9100. Get on the schedule right now. 6 to 8-ish weeks from now, you could have brand new windows that are made, installed, and warranted here in Salt Lake City in your home, increasing the value of that home. And the financing options mean that your energy savings might actually balance out and negate the cost of the new installation. So depending on how big your house is, how many windows you got, it's something to look forward to or at least look into. 801-850-9100 at Advanced Windows and advancedwindows.com. Tell them that OC sent you. We welcome in Utes insider Alex Markham to talk about a huge game this past weekend and, more importantly, what's coming with Cincinnati rolling into town for College game day. Markham, what's up?
OC, how you doing, my friend?
Doing all right, man. Let's process what we saw against Colorado first. You know, there was a question going. Bird Ficklin was always ready to go last week. Devin Dampier was upgraded from questionable to probable the day before the game. True game time decision in some reports. And Bird Ficklin ends up having an absolutely phenomenal day in his first start in a Utah uniform. At what point in the week did you, I guess, become confident that it was going to be Bird starting in this game?
Man, throughout most of the week, I was pretty confident it was going to be Bird, right? And then I was getting some calls on some stuff Friday, and it was sounding like, even though a lot of people didn't feel like Dampier was going to be healthy enough that he was going to get the ball, and so that was kind of interesting to be able to hear and everything, and get some of the background behind all that. And then Friday night hit, and that's where they're going to say it was a game time decision, but at the same time too, Friday night was pretty much where there was a lot of confidence that it was going to be Bird taking the ball and leading the guys out on the field.
So he comes out, second play of the game, takes it all the way to the house. How much do we gauge his performance being, wow, this kid's just really talented, he's excellent, and how much do we take into account the fact that, the bounce back was real against, Colorado instead of BYU, just like the bounce back was real after a Texas Tech loss. Great week of practice, all that stuff. The level of competition here, how much does that influence what we think of Bird Ficklin? Because Colorado was bad on Saturday night.
Yeah, no. So it lies somewhere in between on a bunch of different things, right? Bird is extremely talented. He gets more and more run. Utah is going to have a very interesting decision to make because of how it can come down to NIL eventually, right? On top of that, bounce back, like you said, like the guys were juiced. They were in the right mindset this game, right? And then Colorado came into that game 120th in rush defense. They left that game as the 134th rush defense in the country. Oh, see, there's 136 teams in FBS. So where do you put something like that? I don't know. Everybody's seen what Bird's done in all of his other opportunities, and you can say it's mop up all you want. The guy has it. He absolutely has it. It's a stark difference compared to, I talked about the mop up and how he showed out, all those games. And then you have Isaac, for instance, come in at the end of this game, and Isaac had a rougher time moving the ball, right? And so even when it comes to mop up time, there's still a lot of things that you can read And just the fact is, Bert Ficklin has it, and there's a reason why everybody's so excited about him right now.
So it feels like a lot of these questions are tomorrow's problem. Today, you got to beat Cincinnati, right? This Utah team, if they want any chance, and the hope is still pretty slim based on all the tiebreakers that would have to go your way. But if you want any chance, you got to win out. You got to find a way to beat this Cincinnati team. You got to find a way to shake the big game monkey off your back. College game day, now being in Salt Lake City for this one, it should not affect the game itself, Alex, but we've seen how it's gone more recently for Utah when you're on this big stage, when you're in these national spotlight games. How do they manage it?
Man, you mentioned that with just even the two big noons this year, right? It goes back a ways now with even the game day stuff. It was crazy because even when they announced it, it's like it's good for the university, right? But there's still a lot of people that were sitting back like, oh, is this a good thing? But no, I mean when it comes down to managing it, I mean, once again, the crowd's gonna have to be the difference maker. They're gonna have to be electric. Cincinnati's coming in so hot, right? And they run a difficult offense. That Sorsby, the more and more they win, he's eventually going to end up with his name in the Heisman conversation. Is he going to be on the stage at the end? No, right? But I mean, they're dealing with the Heisman caliber quarterback. From there, Cincinnati really spreads the ball around. So Utah's going to have to be on their toes. It's this last week Utah really dialed up the pressure a lot more than typical, right? A lot of times when Utah's getting the sacks, it's not necessarily that it's designed that way, so where are they going to find that happy medium on this to be able to throw those guys off and shake them? Cincinnati coming into this with 7 wins in a row. Yeah, they're on a hot streak, right? But at the same time too, win streaks can be a bad thing too. So sometimes, especially we'll see if Cincinnati's up to it, being on this kind of stage with that long of a win streak in this type of an environment. And I think that this time around, even though, a lot of Utah people are skittish about, the game day exposure and everything for Utah, I think it's going to work in Utah's favor this time. And I think it's going to be a detriment to Cincinnati. Outside of that though, man, when it comes to even Utah trying to figure out the quarterback situation, I mean, look, Devin's the guy right now, right? If he's healthy enough, you got to roll with him.
Okay, what's healthy enough though? Because that's the question that everyone has to figure out. Healthy enough, right? Because Bird is so good as a backup, right? He's the best backup quarterback right now in the Big 12 and maybe all of college football. Okay, if Bird is that good, and we think he is, Devin has to be 90% to be the better choice, 100% to be the better choice, 94%. I mean, that for me? That's the question.
Yeah.
How healthy does Devin have to be in order for it to make sense for Jason Beck and Kyle Whittingham to trust his ability more than Bird Ficklin's ability? And now that Bird has had an actual full game of play, is he healthy? Because we know he came out of that thing in the third quarter, end of the third quarter, and looked like he was going to be fine. But we don't know. Maybe he's sore this week. It's a different equation every single week based on health. What is that equation this week?
I love that you asked me that because with the Ute Nation podcast I've been doing, and I've been telling you, man, we got to get you on there and have you chop it up with a bunch of the former players. But this last week, Josh Nurse and Zach Moss were on it on our 48-hour rule podcast, one that we have, and I asked the guys that same question, and Nurse made a great point on, he said 85%, and even at that, he feels like that's being generous. So you might have to look at the 85 to 90% area on that, and then at the same time too, Bird showed out enough that it's look, should we stretch this one more week? Are we safe enough to? That's what the Utah coaches are going to have that conversation on, right? Within all that as well, the other point that me, Nurse, and Moss were making is, it's 85%, but at the same time too, it's tough to put a percentage on that, right? Because his best asset is his legs. Where's his injury? It's his legs, you know. And I know that we're not necessarily supposed to talk about those things, but it was very apparent, you know. And there's pictures out there, and so it's safe to say that, right? You know, so that's the other thing to throw into the equation, because I mean, we've watched it all season. By now, it's not going to change. Devin does not throw a good deep ball. I think you and me talked after the second game of the season, first or second game of the season, and, you know, I was just sitting back saying, like, you know, that deep ball is a concern, right? Because how he throws it up there, it just hangs. It floats and it hangs, and it's going to cost Utah at a big point in one of the games. It cost them against BYU, you know. So there's all these different factors to throw into that. I love the way Bird spins it, you know, and so that's another element to just kind of factor in when you're looking at the percentage that Devin is, you know. So it's a tough thing, but at the same time too, you know, you mentioned that Utah's got a really good backup. I feel like, you know, if Devin is 85 to 90% or less than that, you got to go with Bird.
The only downside to the situation right now, right? It's great for conversation. It's fun for sports talk radio. Let fans have the debate. You know, we'll be doing it at the bus stop. We'll be doing it in the parking lot before the game. Who should it be? Who should it be? Who should it be? The only downside here is that in the modern world of college football, and this is tomorrow's problem, but I'm bringing it up today, like you don't get to keep both of these guys for next year.
No, both of them won't be on the roster next year. I can pretty much, you know, just looking at the writing on the wall and just seeing how Bird just did that and everything going on. Like, OC, Utah is going to have to figure probably at minimum, low 2 million to low 2 to high 2 millions on keeping both of those guys. You know, and so that's the issue in college sports today. You know, and then you have to take a look at it and say, you know, look, Devin is a stud. He is an absolute stud. Okay. But you got to sit back and weigh it and say, you know, okay, if Devin comes in around the 2 million range, is that going to be better than Bird maybe coming in around the 1 million range? Right. And on something like that, you got to start looking at the guys around them too. And so it's just, yeah, I mean, man, it's a nice problem for the coaching staff and for Rob Blecken as the GM to have, but it's not one that's going to come easy.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Cincinnati this week. It's Saturday night, 8:15 kickoff again. This time it's college game day. Who should the celebrity picker be, Alex Markham?
You know, so I threw this out on Twitter, X, whatever the hell anybody wants to call it nowadays. So Post Malone, it doesn't look like he's got a tour date. That could be a fun one, right? And also, I mean, Alex Smith is working for ESPN now, you know. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Alex has done the guest picker yet, right?
I don't think he has.
Yeah, Steve Smith has. I don't think Weddle has. Maybe Weddle's been on something on stage. I can't remember, but I would venture a guess that the most likely one, if I had to throw a bunch of Skittles on it, since we got to be careful with all this betting stuff that's gone on lately with the NBA, right? I'd say it's Alex for sure.
I would be on board with that. That'd be fun to see. Get him back to campus. Doesn't happen as often as it should. Cincinnati,
man. We got you too, man. We got you too. I mean,
yep.
you're one of the MMA voices, right?
Yeah, I made that case. I said,
come on now.
I said, bring on somebody who nobody in the country and most people in Utah don't even know who they are. That's the right thing to do. That's what
we got to get you up there with the cutoff shirt with McAfee and Whittingham, right?
Perfect.
Love it.
Thanks for joining me, dude. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Alex Markham, Utes Insider, and Utes Own. Look, the debate's going to continue all week long. Kyle Whittingham has tried to put it to bed, and by the way, I think that part of that conversation and part of the reason why you make sure you say, hey, QB1 is the guy that we've had all year. First of all, he's done nothing to lose that job, okay? it's always tough when an injury is what takes a guy out. There's precedent for it. It's happened in Utah before, right? Brett Elliott. Alex Smith got that job because Brett Elliott got hurt. He ended up finishing out his career at Linfield College or something. You know what I mean? And Alex went on to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. It happens. When you haven't done anything to lose the job, when you haven't played your way out of the job, you should always be given the opportunity to keep the job. And Devin has more than done that. The injury, and the point has been made by me. Alex made the same point. The fact that it is effectively it's a run injury to a running quarterback makes it a lot more significant. The big picture stuff about, hey, well, what about next year that Scott Mitchell was bringing up earlier? Next year doesn't matter right now. This is supposed to be, at least in my mind, and I think in the fans and most Utah fans, this is supposed to be the swan song. This is supposed to be it. And if it's a 9-3 season, okay, hopefully you win your bowl game. If it's a 10-2 season, and you've at least given yourself a shot at making that Big 12 championship, that's a respectable end to the era.
You probably get a much better bowl game, too, if you do not make the Big 12 championship game, much better bowl matchup. So you win the bowl game after a 10-2 season. That feels a lot more significant.
You need, if you want to make the conference championship game right now, you need Texas Tech to lose 2 games between now and the end of the season.
They got BYU next week, so that's potentially one.
You also have to root for BYU, which is bad for people.
Makes you feel gross inside, yeah.
So you have to root for BYU to beat Texas Tech. You have to root for somebody else then to beat Texas Tech. You have to hope that somebody else beats Arizona State.
Well, but you have the tiebreaker, right? Don't they have 2 losses?
They only have 1 loss.
Oh, they only have the 1 conference loss? Okay.
They have 1 conference loss right now.
No, they lost.
Right?
Didn't they lose Saturday? They lost Saturday to Houston and they lost to Utah. That's
you're
2.
right. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind.
So
I forgot about Saturday losing to Houston. So the biggest problem for you right now is Houston.
Yeah, Houston and Cincinnati, because even if you beat Cincinnati this week, that's only 1 conference loss. So you got to have Cincinnati lose again.
And the reason I say Houston's the big problem is because Houston is like they have the worst teams in the conference for the rest of the schedule, and then they have TCU.
Yeah, true. They're hard to find. Maybe that's a loss against TCU, but you need 1 more. Yeah. Well, anyway, the loss against if they lose to TCU, they also have 2 conference losses, and then you leave it up to a bunch of tiebreakers because you didn't play head to head.
Just coin flips every.
Yeah. So you really
coin flip, and then
you really do need another loss to Houston to feel good about it. But you can't forget, like, Cincinnati's got that 1 loss, so I think there's a lot of people that think, oh yeah, the Utah wins were good. No, they have to lose again because the 1 loss was out of conference. So those are the two biggest ones. You also have TCU. If they win out, they only have 2 losses, and you don't play them head to head this year. So it's just like the Houston one. So that goes up to tiebreaker. Sneakily, Kansas State is tied with Utah and a bunch of other people in the conference records. They're probably not going to win out though. But yeah, it's a log jam, but it's also there's still a path forward to get there. That's another reason why I'm like, go with the guy with experience if he's healthy, and who, like you said, hasn't done anything to lose this job.
Chase Robertson on Twitter, in response to the who should be the celebrity picker, said Steve Smith, Weddle, or Ryan Smith. Absolutely not Ryan Smith.
Is that because you brought up the Mammoth? So maybe the owner. No, it would not be.
You
not
can't
Ryan
have
Smith.
like one of BYU's biggest supporters be the celebrity guest picker for Utah versus Cincinnati.
Absolutely
He said
not.
dark horse Jason Kelsey. No.
Would they? This is not at Cincinnati.
How about this, though? How about this? Taylor Swift.
Oh?
Because her shows in Utah sold out faster than anywhere else.
Let's go.
She decides that she's going to reward the fans. No, I don't even. No.
And she's going to be related to Jason Kelsey soon, who played for Cincinnati. Yeah. No. going back to the Ryan Smith thing, if it were the Miller family that still owned the Jazz and they brought NHL to Utah, then okay, you have the owner of one of the most prominent people in the state in sports who owns the two biggest pro teams. You have them be the celebrity picker, but since it's Ryan Smith, you can't do that. He's tied to BYU. You can't have him be Utah's celebrity picker.
Great text coming in from 6754. The issue is that we don't know about Bird Ficklin. How does he react to his first interception? How does he react to being pressured for real?
Which this game he would he's talking about pressured by a defensive line, but as far as like feeling the pressure of a big game, this game would count as that.
And the fact that the offensive line is not all that used to protecting a left-handed quarterback, those are all major variables. Yes and no, because here's the beauty of having great tackles on both sides, right?
Protect both sides just fine.
Like
in theory.
right when Bird Ficklin is the starter, then Spencer Fano is the blindside protector. Great. When it's Devin Dampier, Caleb Lomu is the blindside protector. Great. When Bird Ficklin is in there and starts to feel pressure, the natural tendency is to roll out to his left. Guess who's over there? Caleb Lomu. Wonderful. For Devin Dampier, it's the opposite. You feel pressure, you start rolling to your right. Guess who's over there for you? Spencer Fano. So does it matter? Yes. Should it matter if this offensive line is as good as we think they are? And by the way, this quarterback thing is washing out the real conversation we need to be having. That's the question for Saturday night. Is your offensive line, who underperformed against Texas Tech and underperformed against BYU, going to be the top offensive line in the Big 12 Conference against Cincinnati? Are they going to be top 15 offensive line in the country against Cincinnati? Because the two tough tests that they have faced, they were like average at best. You can't afford that against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a really good defensive front. Dante Corleone he's probably the second best or best defensive lineman you're going to face as an individual talent this year. Like, you have to be really, really good against these guys. Oh, and by the way, for your defensive line, we'll talk about this more as the week progresses. For your defensive line, you can't count on those guys creating havoc plays because Cincinnati is the best team in the conference at protecting their quarterback from a sacks and pressures perspective. Sorsby is the least pressured quarterback in the Big 12 and second least pressured in all of college football. Partially because of how they call the offense, partially because his offensive line does so well, partially because of his athleticism. Yikes! All right, take a quick one here. Plenty more to talk about. We have to touch on it. We have to do it a little bit more justice at least. ESPN College Game Day coming in. Utah Mammoth on a 7-game win streak. This is a golden age for Utah sports. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. A text on the Sean O'Connell show that I was debating whether I was going to actually read, because it's a little petty, if we're being honest, and I'm okay with petty fans because I myself am a petty fan when it's time to be. Someone texted in, "Hey, how's Cam Calhoun doing at Alabama, by the way?" While I appreciate you adding to the conversation on the show instead of just pulling out your phone and Googling something, I've decided, let's do a quick update, because this was one of those things that you felt like, oh, this is a big loss for the Utah program. Cam Calhoun transferring out. Hope things work out for him at Alabama. He has so far participated in 7 games, and he has 3 total tackles on the season and 1 pass defended. He also recovered a fumble.
I recovered a fumble. Look at that.
More importantly, Utah's corners and defensive backs have been good.
By the way, I think we'd be remiss if we did not shout out a very good bounce back game from Teo Johnson against Colorado.
Yeah, he had a good game.
The great pick in that game.
By the way, I had someone approach me on the sideline on Saturday night and say, "Hey, just so you know, you were being pretty hard on Teo. Just so you know, this is why he let go."
Oh, they told. Okay.
The story, according to this person,
sources,
hashtag sources, was that there had been a couple of roughing calls that Utah had seen in the Big 12 and seen in their own games, and there was a point of emphasis in a conversation because it was a rivalry game and things can get chippy and referees sometimes over adjudicate, play through the whistle, but don't do anything extra, right? And so, according to the way it played out, Teo had thought that while Bear was in his grasp, he had let go of the ball. He had flipped the ball out. He said his posture changed. I thought that he let go of the ball, something to that effect.
I see. And he's afraid of getting that roughing call.
So the cruel irony of that play was that his fear of getting a roughing penalty ended up leading to a roughing penalty
on
ejection.
Yeah.
Major game-changing difference. And so that was told to me. That was all right, cool.
It's good context.
That was what I was told, and there's no reason this person would ever need to lie to me about it. Look, the criticisms for the BYU loss, and we don't need to keep dwelling on it because you got to move on. The team did a really good job of dumping it out of their mindset and moving on and having a great game against Colorado. We as fans aren't asked to do the same thing on the same level. Just applaud that the team was able to do so.
Yeah.
The major criticisms in that game, I went down the list of responsibilities. I did it carefully on the show. I told you that my number one, what are you doing, belonged to the man at the top. And Kyle Whittingham had a great game against Colorado because everyone had a great game against Colorado. That I will forever look at the BYU game and say, wow, man, that Coach Witt, I think, made a mistake there. However, the more important point is 21 years of success, and it takes a special kind of team, which I think requires a special kind of coach, to have a performance like that one, a heartbreak like that one, and then come out the next week and perform the way that Utah did on Saturday night.
Against, Ari Temkin, I think, was right to point this out. They beat Colorado like they beat West Virginia, but this Colorado team is a better team than that West Virginia team. And, of course,
Colorado's better than West Virginia. Colorado's
not good, but
they're good.
But they're still, you didn't expect it to be quite that dominating.
Look, what it does, it's an important thing. It sets the tone again, and unfortunately you have to do this multiple times. Even in two of Utah's best 4 years of football ever, you had to do this a couple of times.
Yeah.
Right? The Pac-12 championship years, you had to hit the reset button, had to reorganize your thoughts, had to reorganize your motivations, had to work on team chemistry. You had to do that in those years, 3 losses in each of those years, right? So far, you're at 2 in this 2025 season. Now, the way the math is mathing makes it seem like such an uphill climb, But the second year of the Pac-12 championship,
it was
just as or even more prohibitively unlikely. Like when you took the loss to, was it Oregon State? It was just like,
Well, the first year was Oregon State. The
Oregon
second year was Oregon, and you had way less time to recover, and so you really needed to rely on Oregon State beating Oregon. You needed to rely on, I can't remember the other scenarios off the top of my head. The Oregon State-Oregon one was the big improbable one. But you had way less time to recover. This loss, these two losses happened in September and October, so you have many more weeks for some surprise losses for the teams in front of you that you need to lose. And you've got an opportunity. You have opportunities like this week against Cincinnati to give a team in front of you a big-time loss.
But you're 0 for 2 on the games that matter this year. So you need to – what you showed us after Texas Tech is that you can smash a bad team, that you can not let Texas Tech beat you twice. You can go smash a bad team. And then you showed us against Arizona State, you can go smash a good team. And then in the rivalry game, I think the coaching failed the team for the most part. Okay, so now you come back from a situation like that, and the players and coaches responded in an ideal way, in a damn near perfect way. You know how hard it is to get anything perfect in college football? The response could not have been better than it was against Colorado. The only thing that could have made that game more appealing from a fan standpoint is if the third-string defense didn't give up a touchdown to Colorado. That was, by the way, that was third stringers that were playing, or worse. That was third or fourth stringers that were playing. There were guys whose names and numbers you have never seen on the field against Colorado for that touchdown surrendering drive.
And by the way, the quarterback for Colorado was a guy who had started multiple games before in his career. So
Yeah.
You're asking your third stringers to preserve the shutout against a guy who's played a lot of college football.
This was one of the funniest moments of that Colorado game for me. So Utah's got their third and fourth string defense out there. Colorado's going down on their only real successful offensive drive of the game. It's the reason they finished the game with over 100 yards of total offense, that drive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have had like 47 yards of total offense, okay? Whoever their best receiver, number 4, his name escapes me right now, he had bedazzled cleats on, okay? He has cleats that were literally bedazzled. They're shiny, like gem-covered cleats, okay? And I'm like, man, I understand. I'm the same way. Like, I like to be a little bit flashy with the way I dress. But in football, it is such a risk to be that dude who's just like, check out these.
Is it Miller?
Yes.
Oh, Marion Miller.
It was a Marion Miller. Like, you're out there, you're going up, you're trying to get a couple of catches, and he did on that drive against dudes who were like never expected to even play. And you're just wearing your fancy ass bedazzled cleats, and I'm like, man, you probably feel so stupid in that moment. It's not totally his fault. Like, he's a college kid. Let him wear his flashy stuff.
Well,
he's a really good player.
He's not throwing the ball.
He's a really good player. Like, but imagine how you feel so dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in this situation before where you're just like, why did I do that? I did this whole big, like, elaborate, fun thing at the weigh-in only to come out here and get my ass kicked. Like, what a moron. He's probably looking down at those shiny cleats and looking up at the scoreboard. He's like, 53? Gosh, I guess at that point it was still, what, 46 to 0? He's just looking up and just be like, damn it. Why did I wear these stupid cleats?
Picked the wrong week to wear these.
I should have put some black cleats on.
I had one as a fan in high school. Painted my face in the school colors. Wore like a big wig type thing that was in the school colors and everything. Went to our rivalry game. Hate you, Pineview. Anyway, they beat us. We're supposed to be like the favorites to win the region, maybe win a state championship. They beat us 35-7, and I'm in this get up like, I should not have done this.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
It's the worst. It is the worst. So, Amari Miller, I laughed at you, but also I kind of like, yeah, we've all been there though.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about the Mammoth like you
No,
wanted to?
we don't have time. Thanks for reminding everyone that I teased something and didn't deliver on it, James. Well
hey, we
done.
got one more segment. I think Spence is in studio. You can ask him about it.
I do want to remind people, though, that now is a perfect time to call our friends, Nate Orchard, Jake Weber, and the Advanced Windows crew, 801-850-9100. The best discounts of the year are happening right now. $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Tell them OC sent you. They're going to hook you up. You need window coverings, they can take care of that. You need one vinyl window replacement, they can take care of it. You want a whole home's worth, 10 windows or more, $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. A lifetime warranty. When I say lifetime warranty, I mean for the life of the home. If you replace these windows in 2025, okay, they will be installed. You call them today. You get on the schedule today. They'll get these things in before the end of the year. You replace them in 2025. And if in 2055 your grandkids are living in the house and they call, hey, these vinyl, the seals on this vinyl window is really starting to come apart. Advanced Windows is going to take care of it. There's no other company in Utah or anywhere else that I can say that with 100% confidence. With Advanced Window Products, I can say that because I have seen it. We went down, we toured the facility. They were putting new windows in a house that was claiming a warranty coverage long before Nate Orchard and Jake Weber even bought the company, even started running the company. That's the kind of integrity they have as businessmen. Well, this was some other business. This was some other owner's problem. But you know what? We put our name on it. These are Advanced Windows. We bought this company. We want to make sure that these customers know that a lifetime warranty means a lifetime warranty. 801-850-9100. Get on the schedule right now. I will give away a 4-pack of sneak preview tickets for Predator Badlands next on the Sean O'Connell Show. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. If you're watching on our YouTube stream on the Sean O'Connell Show, you'll see that I have a cool new hat on today. Shout out to Robles on the Utah radio broadcast, Utah football radio broadcast. You guys know about his wrestling moonlighting as in pro wrestling. It's a fanny hat. It's a hat cap pack.
I noticed that about that. It's got a pocket on it.
It's got a pocket. This hat has a pocket on the front of it, above the bill.
Put whatever you want in that pocket.
Yeah. Well, not whatever you want. You can't put like a watermelon in here.
I mean, whatever you want that fits. Yeah.
You can't put a full size.
It's like the quarterback conversation we've had. Devin's QB1, if he's not injured,
yeah,
you can put whatever you want in that pocket if it fits.
Pretty great. So shout out to Matt Robles for hooking me up.
It's a sweet hat. Says heel on it, right?
Says heel, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Wrestling bad guy. He's a great wrestling bad guy.
Is that his brand?
Oh, he's
hat?
a heel.
Yeah, I know he's the wrestling heel. That's his character. That's the persona he takes on. But is this his brand that he's giving you?
I guess. All I know is that I now have a hat with a pocket on it.
It looks sweet.
Okay.
I want a hat with a pocket.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to fit a watermelon in there.
It won't work.
Just because I'm petty, OC.
You know what I would do, though? I would put the sneak preview tickets to Predator Badlands at Jordan Commons coming up November 4th in the pocket. And then when you walk up and they're like, tickets, please.
Hold on
just a second. Let me unzip here.
Yeah, don't.
And hand it to them. Then they're going to be like, whoa.
Don't take the hat. Don't make it easier and take the hat off, then unzip. No, blindly unzip the hat. Yeah.
It's not as
Absolutely.
cool. It's not as cool
Feel
if you have
around.
to take the hat off.
Absolutely.
All right. So 4 tickets to Predator Badlands, courtesy of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM at Megaplex Jordan Commons down in Sandy, 877-353-0700.
Your Megaplex.
Yeah, the old stomping grounds. Actually, that's God's country down there in Sandy. The site of the original Jordan High School, and of course the new Jordan High School, the one I went to, is just down the road on State Street. Also, a BGR, Burgers Grilled Right, gift card. We're doubling up on the prizes today, 877-353-0700. If you can tell me, you know what, this is how we'll give our love to the Utah Mammoth. As a team, the Utah Mammoth have 16 points right now in the NHL standings in the Western Conference. That puts them at the top. Only one other team in the NHL has 16 points. I mentioned them earlier on the show. Who is that? 877-353-0700. If you know, you get a BGR Burgers Grilled Right in Sugar House gift card. They're providing the hot lunch this week. We had the pretzel burger today, pretzel bun, bacon, onion marmalade. That's the star of the show. The bacon, and, of course, a patty grilled to perfection with the cheddar cheese on top.
Definitely recommend it. If you're out Sugar House wanting a burger, definitely recommend this pretzel bacon burger.
Woo! It is good. And maybe I'll see you at the sneak preview to Predator Badlands. That one looks good.
But by the way, do the right thing, College Game Day. Get some Mammoth players on as your celebrity guest pickers. Come on.
I don't know. Now you guys
you're
kind of
not
have me
sure?
sold on Alex Smith.
Okay,
he hasn't done it before.
Okay, if Alex, going back to the caveats thing, if Alex can't do it, Mammoth players.
Yeah.
But if Alex is your QB1 for guest picker.
The Mammoth players, they deserve it, though, man. They are so red hot right now. But they also showed too much love to BYU previously. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned for the drive with Spence Checketts. Spence is up at the Layton Hills Mall for the tent sale. Is that right?
That's right. So head on out to Layton Hills Mall, just off I-15. You see it from the freeway up in Layton. Or if you're in the area, go check that sale out and say hi to Spence Checketts from 2 to 6.
Thanks for listening to the Sean O'Connell Show. It's Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.